năm ngoái 28 em về quê á. 28 về quê có thể là không tắc đường nữa đấy. Nhưng mà cô hôm trước vừa thấy mọi người hình như là tuần này là mọi người đã bắt đầu về quê rồi đúng không? Có những cái công ty cho nghỉ sớm là 24 cho 24, 23 thôi. Tạm biệt các em, hẹn năm sau gặp lại. Về quê đi nha. Công ty cô 26 mới nghỉ. Cô 26 mới nghỉ. Thôi, 辛苦1年了，回老家吃啊，我也回老家吃爸爸妈妈做的饭吧，我们一起过年。OK。Cho xin nhẹ nhàng 3.000 tim nhá. Chúng ta sẽ còn 30 phút nữa đồng hành với nhau nha các bạn ơi. Trời, cả nhà xin cho phép 3.000 tim cho nó sởi lời. Ok. Chúng ta cùng qua câu khác nha. Xie chìa Yên Jun. Khi nào bạn về quê ăn Tết đúng không ạ? Ngoài của chính nhân chía, của niên ra có một cái đặc biệt chúng ta đã học H1 đến H3, đó chính là gì ạ? Ăn sinh nhật đúng không ạ? Ăn sinh nhật hoặc là đón sinh nhật. Năm nay tôi đón sinh nhật ở nhà hàng thì vẫn như thế. Các bạn sẽ dịch là ăn sinh nhật và đón sinh nhật, chúng ta dịch là gì nhỉ? Chính xác. Ok Việt Nam. Ok Sáu. Ăn sinh nhật, đón sinh nhật, Hàn ngữ 怎么说呢? Vẫn dục là trư sinh nhật là xong rồi, là không còn gì nữa, là thôi luôn nha. Mà chúng ta phải nói là của sinh nhật, đúng ba? Ăn sinh nhật. Năm nay tôi đón sinh nhật tại hoặc là ở nhà hàng. Nhà hàng. Nhà hàng nha. Nào chúng ta dịch là 今天 今年我在商店过生日 và 今年我在饭馆 OK 过生日 và 今年我在什么呢？餐厅过生日，对吧？Ok. Năm nay tôi đón sinh nhật hoặc là tôi ăn sinh nhật tại nhà hàng. Ăn sinh nhật tại nhà hàng. Nhìn kỹ nha. Nhìn kỹ lại nha. Năm nay tôi ăn sinh nhật tại nhà hàng. Ba. Tuyệt vời. Năm nay tôi ăn sinh nhật tại nhà hàng. Có ba lửa em ghi cái 333. Hạ Tiên Thiên nhanh vậy. Sao em ghi số 333 kêu nhanh vậy? Được, nhanh quá Hạ Thiên Thiên. Ok. Mình có gì ạ? 1, 2, 3. 10 cả nhà, nhớ nha. 6 tỷ. 6 tỷ. Câu này chỉ là gì ạ? Một lần duy nhất. Các bạn trước khi đã comment các bạn nhớ nha, chúng ta sẽ không có cơ hội để sửa lại. Đấy, Miên Sa Hoàng 2 4 1 3 1 2 3 này. Xem khi nào nghỉ Tết à? Cô 26 nha. Lại hết thứ 6 thì cô nghỉ Tết. Ok. Ok Thiên Thiên. Ok bánh mì. Ở nhà hàng nha. Trước khi các bạn trả lời thì nhớ nha, không có sửa lại đâu, một lần thôi. Chọn đúng hay sai ạ? Chọn đúng nha Hà nha. Chọn đúng nha. Này nhá. Năm nay tôi ăn sinh nhật ở nhà hàng. Nhà hàng nó như thế nào? Waiter. Rót rượu. Có thể lại bị ăn đập đấy. Thôi không. Phú viên. Tao rượu. Chị ơi, rót rượu. Chị ơi, lên món cho em với. 对，我感冒的，嗓子不太好。Hello, hai cách năm你好. Sai hết, chọn 4. Được. Các bạn khác thì sao nhỉ? Xin mời nổ đáp án. Xin mời xin nổ đáp án. Năm nay tôi ăn sinh nhật ở nhà hàng 1, 2, 3. 4, 1 chọn 3. Ok. 1, 2, 3, Việt Nam chọn 3. Chắc chứ chị. Vốn lại tại em muốn ăn sữa chanh, đúng rồi. Waiter, waiter, cho em một tôm hùm Alaska thêm bơ và không tỏi. 3, 2, 1. Ủa, sao Sảo chọn cả 1, 2, 2 à? Nam ơi, em nhanh vậy. Rồi, cho xin phép nhẹ nhàng nào. 2.900 đúng không ạ? Cho xin phép nhẹ nhàng 5.000 tim. Nhổ số cô này nha. Lại một thôi chứ gì. Tuấn Cận chọn 2, Dứa chọn 1. Ok, cho xin phép nhẹ nhàng nổ số gì. Các bạn bình thường nổ số chờ đến 6,5 đúng không ạ? Cô không cần các bạn chờ đến 6,5. Các bạn cho nổ cho cô 5.000 tim. Cô lên câu này nha. Em ơi, em lật hơn nhanh bánh tráng hơn nhà cô rồi đấy, Việt Nam ạ. Vừa nãy bảo 3 mà sao bây giờ sai hết rồi. Trang Trang chọn 2, Ba Lửa chọn 4. Năm nay tôi ăn sinh nhật ở nhà hàng. Ở nhà hàng nha các bạn. 3.000 năm quá nhanh. Đây cô bấm tim giúp cả nhà để cho lên 5.000 tim nha. 5.000 tim nổ số cô này nha. Ok, nhớ nha, nhà hàng sang trọng. Cái này gì à? Dĩa thịt bò bít tết nhếu phái thôi bạn. Đó, tao khở cha đó. Thôi nó phét nhiều quá xong ho luôn này. Hoa 2, Nhung Mung chọn 2, Gà Con chọn 3, Mõm chọn 2. Nhìn có vẻ đúng nhưng mà chưa chắc đã đúng đâu. 4.200 rồi, nào xin mẹ nha. Số lẻ đến với tôi 3. 3 chứ gì, ok 4 mùa. Tôi thích sự kiên định của em. Từ nãy giờ em vẫn chọn 3 thôi. Tôi thích sự kiên định của em. Còn đúng hay không thì tôi không biết. Tôi chỉ thích sự kiên định của em thôi, chứ tôi chưa chắc thích đáp án của em nhé. Ok. Nào, 4.700, 200 tim nữa. 4.800, 100 tim nữa. Bạn nào chưa follow An Ki thì nhớ follow cô nha. Cô sẽ live từ đến bây giờ đến thứ 6. Nên là cả nhà nếu mà gì sợ ăn Tết mà đầu toàn bánh chưng nhưng mà vẫn muốn học tiếng Trung thì cả nhà lâu lâu vào live cùng cô luyện dịch để cho mình gì mình cái thời gian mình không tiếp xúc gì tiếng Trung thì có không quá lâu đúng không ạ? Nhưng mà không học tự nhiên bỏ bẵng ra một cái gì đó không học ấy thì nó thật sự là nó sẽ quen biến đó. Bữa cô gặp đi cô ăn phở với cơm rang hôm qua bảo rồi. Ăn phở với cơm rang, đúng rồi. Rồi, chúng ta đến câu gì ạ? 5.200, tuyệt vời. Mr. chọn 2. Ok. Đầu tiên, xin phép loại luôn đáp án mấy các bạn? Xin phép loại luôn đáp án thứ 3 nha. Loại luôn đáp án thứ 3. Bạn nào chọn 3 là sai. Tại vì sao ạ? Ăn sinh nhật là bị nhầm rồi. Đúng, Việt Nam mình nó là ăn sinh nhật, ăn Tết đúng không? Nhưng các bạn biết rồi, ăn ở đây là gì ạ? Đón đúng không ạ? Đón một ngày lễ nào đó. Chứ là sai rồi. Nhỉ? Các bạn sẽ dùng là từ gì ạ? Của tề bạc. Thì đã bảo rồi, nhìn rõ đi rồi. Chúc mừng bạn đã trượt HSK. Vừa mới lừa câu trên xong mà bây giờ lại ấy. Đúng không ạ? Đón ngày lễ, một ngày lễ nào đó, chúng ta sẽ không dùng là chứ mà chúng ta sẽ dùng từ của, 对吧? 过年, 过生日, 对吧? Ok. Bữa nãy chúng ta học gì ạ? 14 tháng 2. Đón gì ạ? Đón ngày lễ tình nhân là 过情人节, 对吧? Ok. Nên là xin phép là câu 3 loại luôn. Bởi vì từ chứ. Ok. Tiếp tục câu 1 với câu 2. Câu 1 cũng loại luôn đúng không các bạn? Câu 1 nhìn rõ ràng cũng loại luôn. Tại vì sao ạ? Tại vì sao các bạn nhìn thấy không? 今年我在商店过生日. Động từ cua rồi. Nhưng mà nó bị nhầm ở đâu nhỉ cả nhà nhỉ? Chính xác. Sang tiền, 对吧? Trung tâm thương mại là sang trọng. Sang tiền là gì ạ? Nó chỉ là cửa hàng đúng không ạ? Ăn sinh nhật tại cửa hàng. Trung tâm thương mại là sang trọng, sang tiền là cửa hàng thôi, kiểu như là bán tạp hóa hay các kiểu, một cửa hàng nhỏ gì đó. Nhưng mà mình gọi là gì ạ? Nhà hàng cơ mà. VIP waiter cho tao điểm, tao trà, tao sủy, tao chiều cơ mà. Nên là câu 1 cũng out luôn, tại vì nó dùng từ sang tiền, đúng không ạ? Sang tiền, cửa hàng. Vậy là chúng ta còn gì ạ? Còn câu 2 đúng không ạ? 今年我在饭馆吃过生日. Wow, nghe câu 2 có vẻ là đúng rồi đúng không? Nhưng gì ta các bạn ơi? 今年我在饭馆过生日. Hợp lý. Đúng rồi, chính xác, Thiệu Thiên. Phan quản ở đây nó không phải là nhà hàng, mà nó là gì ạ? Quán cơm, tiệm cơm. Quản là quy mô nó rất nhỏ và bé, quán mà. Quản, quy mô nhỏ và bé. Kiểu như các bạn hay ăn quán cơm, chị ơi cho em một suất cơm già gà 35.000 hoặc là 25.000. Đó, thì nó sẽ là vào phan quản đấy bà. Nhưng mà chúng ta muốn dùng gì ạ? Từ nhà hàng cơ mà. Nhà hàng là một nơi như thế nào, đúng không ạ? Nó sang trọng hơn, nó quy mô to hơn. Đó, nhà hàng to hơn, lung linh lấp la lấp lánh, đúng không ạ? Thì chúng ta sẽ dùng là gì ạ? Nhà hàng. Nếu mà dịch đúng nhà hàng thì chúng ta có thể dùng từ餐厅 hoặc là phan tiện,对吧? Nhưng mà rất tiếc cô bà,餐厅dùng đúng địa điểm rồi nhưng mà lại sai động từ, đúng không ạ? Chứ sinh日. Nên là bạn nào chọn đáp án số 4 ở đây mới là đáp án đúng, và bạn nào bảo sai hết thì mới là đáp án đúng nha cả nhà ơi. Ok, nhanh nhất là Thiên Thiên đúng không? Vừa nãy Thiên Thiên chọn nhanh này. Thiên Thiên, Minsa này, mi cái gì nữa nhỉ? Bởi vì em thích ăn sang chảnh nên là em xin phép chọn 4. Rất đúng, chính xác. Lì xì đâu nhỉ? Đâu, chuẩn bị mùng 4 tháng 2 rồi, em có đồng ý làm bạn gái tôi không? Ok. Đây là đáp án ở đây, chúng ta sẽ chọn lại đáp án thứ 4 nha cả nhà yêu. 6 tỷ. 6 tỷ bây giờ quan trọng gì đâu, bây giờ chuẩn bị 14 tháng 2 rồi phải tỏ tình, bèo bái, tuyệt vời. Việt Nam vừa nãy cũng chọn 3 đúng không? Quá mệt mỏi. Em đã quá quen với cô rồi à? Cả nhà đã ok la với phần này chưa nhỉ? 1, 2, 3 nghe có vẻ là rất là thuận, rất là mượt đúng không? Nhưng mà cả nhà nhớ nha, quán cơm là quán cơm, nhà hàng là nhà hàng nha. Cả nhà nếu mà ok rồi cho cô xin chữ ok nha cả nhà. Ok. Ok. Hôm nay xuống slide sớm nha. Ok và liền là hai nữa xuống slide nha. Đau quá. Hôm qua mặc áo dài xong về ốm luôn rồi. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 4 mùa. Oh yeah. Ok chưa nhỉ? Có mấy bạn ok thôi ạ? Cả nhà nếu mà hiểu 1, 2, 3 lý do tại sao chúng ta không nên chọn câu này thì cả nhà cho cô xin chữ ok. 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 Đã bảo rồi là nhìn rõ đi, tại vì nó hay bị đánh lừa lắm. Vừa nãy cũng là ăn gì nhỉ? Ăn Tết rồi là trưa rồi mà. Ok. Rồi, cái thời tiết này thật sự là không muốn làm gì cả. Rồi, nếu mà cả nhà ok rồi thì cho xin phép nhẹ nhàng. Bình thường chúng ta xem YouTube nội dung hay xong thì các bạn sẽ bị gì à? Bị quảng cáo đúng không ạ? Ở trên TikTok thì các bạn cũng bị vậy. Cho xin phép nhẹ nhàng quảng cáo 2 phút nha, để cho đặt KPI cái. Nào, nếu cả nhà chưa biết học tiếng Trung ở đâu, hoặc là nếu nhà cả nhà muốn sau Tết gì ạ, năm mới khởi đầu mới, các nhà có thể tham khảo đến khóa học của Hanki. Hiện tại là đang chương trình sale năm 2026 Tết Bính Ngọ. Nên là xin phép nhớ các bạn đang xem phim live của cô, các bạn chỉ cần nhập mã gì ạ? HK25, các bạn sẽ tự động được giảm từ 1 đến 3 triệu đồng từng một khóa học. Bên cô hiện tại đang dạy theo lộ trình từ 1 đến H6 cho các bạn, nhưng mà cô sẽ báo giá combo cho các bạn luôn để các bạn có thể tiện là xem so sánh hay như thế nào. Ok. Ok, chúng ta có H1 đến H3 là gì ạ? Nó sẽ rơi khoảng tầm 65 buổi. 65 buổi nha các bạn. Bên cô sẽ học dài hơn. Dài hơn. Tào lao nhèm nhèm bảo sao ít người coi. Nếu mà không thích thì bạn cũng không thể xem. Không sao cả, mình cảm ơn nhá. Mỗi người có một cách like khác nhau mà. Ok. Đó, bên cô sẽ học theo chương trình bám sát theo chương chuẩn 3.0, nên là từ H1 đến H3 chúng ta sẽ rơi vào 65 buổi. Nếu mà giá gốc của chúng ta là đầu 6, nhưng các bạn yên tâm, nếu các bạn đăng ký là gì ạ? Đăng ký trong phiên live của cô thì nó sẽ rơi khoảng tầm đầu 4 thôi các bạn ạ. Đầu 4, và từ H1 đến H4 của chúng ta sẽ rơi là 105 buổi. Nó về còn tầm đầu 10 đúng không ạ? Nếu mà chia ra cho các bạn ấy thì nếu mà học combo ấy, nó chỉ có 69 cá một buổi thôi. Và tầm 1 đến 4 thì nó sẽ rơi khoảng là tầm 100. Ok, đầu 100 đúng không ạ? Ngoài ra ở Hanki đặc biệt có cái điều gì ạ? Là gì ạ? Các bạn sẽ được gì ạ? Các bạn sẽ có app và web hỗ trợ các bạn học. Một lớp bên cô hầu hết là sẽ có 2 giáo viên cho các bạn. Và đặc biệt nha, nhấn mạnh, giáo trình bên cô là giáo trình biên soạn và giáo trình do phòng đào tạo và phòng đào tạo phát triển của Hanki biên soạn ra sách tiêu chuẩn 3.0 nha các bạn. Bán app đi cô, bên cô lại không bán app nha đậu ơi. Bên cô app thì các bạn biết rồi, nó có rất nhiều tính năng nhưng mà bên cô không bán riêng app được. Một lớp bên cô chỉ maximum 15 bạn thôi các bạn ạ. Đó, 2 giáo viên có nghĩa là gì ạ? 2 giáo viên các bạn sẽ take care ở trên lớp Zoom. Ok. Và phần về nhà các bạn tự học đúng không? Thì thông thường là một các bạn sẽ gì ạ? Một các bạn phải tự đi tìm, tự mò, hoặc là bỏ ra một cái phí bên app thứ 3 để các bạn có thể gì ạ? Luyện flashcard hoặc là làm đề thi đúng không ạ? Nhưng khi các bạn đăng ký ở Hanki thì cái app đấy, những quyền năng, tính năng đó ấy, sẽ ở trong khóa các bạn luôn. Ok. Đó, app như thế nào? Cô xin đây giới thiệu một chút hình dáng của nó như thế này đây. Nó có gì? Phần học từ mới, trò chơi kép thẻ, luyện phản xạ, hoặc là gì ạ? Hoặc là kiểm tra từ mới cho các bạn nha. Kiểm tra từ mới cho các bạn. Ok. Và kiểu như là các bạn biết rồi, nó có rất nhiều app để cho các bạn có thể tham khảo đúng không? Nhưng mà hầu hết là một là các bạn phải xem quảng cáo, hoặc là đến cái tính năng nào đó các bạn phải nạp phí. Hai là các bạn gì ạ? Hai là thầu hốt cái app đấy nó sẽ kiểu như là nếu mà phi nó sẽ là lộn xộn 150 từ lộn xộn khác nhau, kiểu như cùng chung một 2K1 nhưng mà nó lộn xộn đúng không ạ? Nhưng mà app của Hanki nó sẽ khác, là có nghĩa là các bạn học đến bài nào chúng ta sẽ ôn đến bài đó. Ví dụ các bạn có thể thấy là từ đây, cái bài HSK1 bài 4 đúng không ạ? Thì cô sẽ chia ra theo từng bài để các bạn học đến đâu ôn đến đó, học đến đâu dùng đến đó nha. Em học yếu ngữ pháp và nói yếu quá, giờ muốn học được không ạ? Mitu ơi, không biết em đang trình độ HSK mấy nhỉ Mitu nhỉ? Tại vì không biết là ngữ pháp hay cái mấy để có thể cải thiện được nữa. Ok. Đó, nếu mà các bạn quan tâm đến H1 đến H6 thì các bạn biết rồi. Đó, vừa nãy cô giới thiệu cho các bạn giảm 25%. Ngoài ra sau Tết thì cô sẽ có một cái chủ đề nữa, luyện dịch cho người đi làm. Ok, luyện dịch cho người đi làm. Các bạn biết rồi, có rất nhiều bạn đang H3, H4 hỏi em đi làm đủ chưa cô? Thật ra là nó cũng hơi chưa đủ. Tại vì các bạn biết rồi, từ vựng trong H2K thì là từ vựng đời sống hàng ngày, nó chung nhiều lĩnh vực đúng không ạ? Còn nếu bây giờ chúng ta muốn tập trung cho chủ đề cho người đi làm, công xưởng, văn phòng hành chính, photocopy ra sao này, tắt nguồn ra sao này, xếp phòng ra sao này, phải nói như thế nào, thì các bạn phải dành riêng một khóa cho người đi làm đúng không ạ? Đó, nhưng mà nếu hiện tại nếu các bạn tài chính chưa đủ, các bạn kiểu như là học khóa 20 buổi, 30 buổi thì nó hơi có vẻ là hơi vượt quá với mức cho phép, ngân lượng cho phép của mình rồi, thì các bạn có thể tham khảo khóa này. Chúng ta sẽ học trong vòng 10 buổi, 15 chủ đề khác nhau. Ok, 100 slot đầu tiên chúng ta sẽ rơi vào khoảng 590 thôi. Còn giá gốc của nó các bạn biết rồi, nó sẽ rơi là tầm 1190 thì phải, gần 2 triệu thì phải. Ok. Đó. Và 50 bạn đầu tiên các bạn biết rồi, 50 bạn đầu tiên. Cái này cô chạy từ tuần trước rồi nên là không biết bây giờ còn slot này đâu. 50 bạn đầu tiên thì các bạn sẽ được tặng gì ạ? App và website. Nên là các bạn, nếu mà bạn nào muốn học ấy, bạn nào muốn muốn riêng app ấy thì cô nói thẳng luôn các bạn, 50 bạn đầu tiên. Đây, app và website. Phiên bản HDK 3.0 cho các bạn. Nó có bài nghe, bài giảng này, học từ mới, ghép thẻ và cũng có phần luyện thi cho các bạn nữa, nên cả nhà hoàn toàn yên tâm. khi mà chúng ta học một khóa này, cả nhà vẫn được ôn luyện ngữ pháp, từ vựng, ngữ âm, tất cả. Thằng ơi cái gì vậy? Mitu nhỉ, không biết em đang HSK mấy rồi nhỉ? Nếu mà yếu thì phải nói HSK mấy ra, tại vì nếu mà HSK1, HSK2, HSK3 thì vẫn ok là nó vẫn trình độ sơ cấp. Học giản thể mà sang học phồn thể, em thấy cô cũng biết tiếng phồn thì không bị loạn đâu Minsa, không bị loạn đâu. Thật ra khi mà các bạn học giản ra thì các bạn vẫn đọc được hẳn một chữ phồn, nhưng mà chỉ là không phải toàn bộ thôi, không bị loạn đâu. Chỉ với cả là nó sẽ khác một văn hóa một chút xíu, là sẽ có những từ mà chúng ta phải học ở tiếng Trung nó nói như thế này, nhưng mà ở tiếng Đài thì nó sẽ cách khác. Ví dụ ngay căn bản ở bên Đài các bạn vẫn bảo dùng từ xéo chỉa thôi bà, nhưng các bạn biết rồi, bên Trung Quốc đại lục thì nó không dùng từ xéo chỉa, người ta hạn chế dùng từ xéo chỉa, tại vì nó nghĩa là gái bán hoa, đúng không ạ? Thật ra không loạn đâu, chỉ căn bản là các bạn có học được tiếng Đài không, phải tiếng Đài nó ấy, tiếng Đài nó nhiều nét hơn, thế là sẽ mất một thời gian để mình có thể làm quen với nó. Nhưng mà nó cũng không ấy đâu, tại vì bản chất chúng ta vẫn là học tiếng Trung mà, em toàn gọi là xéo chỉa. Tôi bảo lớp này học mấy giờ vậy cô? Tối nha, lớp này học tối nha, từ 8:30 đến 9, từ 8:30 đến 10 giờ, hoặc là từ 9 giờ đến 10 rưỡi. Chúng ta sẽ học trong vòng 1 tiếng rưỡi thôi các bạn ạ. Đăng ký ạ. Em muốn đăng ký thì đăng ký góc trái màn hình giúp lão sư nhá. Đăng ký góc trái màn hình giúp lão sư nha.汉语不太难. Tuệ. Thật ra bản chất nếu mà nói là chữ gốc thì các bạn biết là chữ phồn thể rồi đúng không ạ? Chữ phồn thể là bản chất của chữ gốc, nhưng mà vì chữ phồn thể nó có nhiều nét quá khiến người ta khó nhớ, rồi người ta lại nản, người ta nản học quá. Nên hồi trước là tỷ lệ dân số mù chữ nó khá cao, mà các bạn biết rồi, dân mà mù chữ là dân dốt đúng không? Nhưng bác đã nói rồi, dân mà không biết chữ là dân dốt, là không làm ăn được gì cả. Nên là người ta để cho kiểu như là tiếp cận với người dân nhiều hơn thì người ta biến từ chữ phồn thể nhiều nét, người ta biến thành ít nét hơn. Thì hiện tại cái chữ mà ít nét chúng ta đang học được gọi là gì ạ? Giản thể. Là đơn giản hóa cái chữ phồn thể lại để chúng ta có thể tiếp cận với người học, tiếp cận với nhiều người hơn. Đó, thì lúc đấy thì gì ạ? Dân không dốt rồi, dân biết kiến thức rồi, thì lúc đấy đất nước sẽ phát triển hơn, đúng không ạ? Đó, thì tùy các bạn muốn học phồn cũng rất là hay, tại vì nó nhiều nét, nó nhiều bộ thủ khác nhau, nên là khi học một từ ấy thật sự rất là hay. Nên là tùy các bạn, nếu các bạn muốn tập trung về gì ạ? Mảng Trung Quốc đại lục đi làm cho người Trung Quốc thì các bạn có thể học chữ giản. Các bạn muốn học gì ạ? Muốn sang Hồng Kông, Đài Loan hoặc là công ty Đài Loan, các bạn muốn làm phồn thì các bạn học chữ phồn, hoặc là cả nhà nào hai bạn cả nhà muốn hứng thú với hai gì ạ? Cả giản cả phồn đều được nha. Đó. Đấy, boss bắt đầu vào rồi đấy. Thì các bạn nha. Thế bây giờ bảo em đi làm cho công ty Đài mà em học tiếng giản thì cũng hơi khó. Nhắn tin Z hay sao? Mitu ơi, em có thể nhắn tin Z hoặc là em nhắn tin góc trái màn hình cho cô luôn đây nha. Trái màn hình, bấm vào đây. Ô kìa. Đấy. Rồi bấm vào phần tin nhắn giúp cô. Nếu mà Mitu đang muốn tư vấn cái gì ạ? Cái ngữ pháp và phần nói đúng không? Thì Mitu bấm vào đây giúp cô nha. Hoặc là Mitu bấm nếu mà liên quan đến khóa từ H1 đến H6, em bấm cho cô chữ mã HK25 thôi là được rồi. HK25. Ok. Còn nếu các bạn muốn chủ đề cho người đi làm, các bạn cứ nhắn 590 là chủ đề cho người đi làm là ok. Các bạn tư vấn viên thì sẽ check tin nhắn cho các bạn nhé. Ok là lò. Nhưng mà tôi em đang ở đấy trình độ 2K mấy rồi. Đó. Bản chất là kiểu như là chúng ta biết rồi. Cái việc các bạn ngữ pháp hoặc là nói thật ra yếu thì không sao, thì chúng ta vẫn có thể luyện tập lại đúng không ạ? Chúng ta có thể vẫn ôn tập lại, không sao cả. Học 11 á, có nha. Nếu bạn nào kiểu như là muốn kiểu như là em tập trung một cô giáo thôi thì các bạn có thể học 11. Thì 11 thì tất nhiên nó sẽ có lợi ích hơn nhiều. Lớp gia sư đúng không ạ? Tại vì là chỉ có một học viên, một giáo viên thôi, thì các bạn sẽ tập trung hơn. Em chưa thi thử nhưng mà bên trường em học tầm H3, H4 thôi, em không theo kịp à? Thế chắc bà lại thử nhắn tin bên tí nữa hỏi sâu thêm nha. Bên tôi cứ nhắn tin đi, xong tí nữa sẽ có bạn tư vấn cho em nha. Hoặc là cô sẽ tiếp tin nhắn cho em. Tại vì sẽ xem trình độ như thế nào, đang bị khuyết điểm ở đâu, thì chúng ta mới biết được là chúng ta cần rèn luyện, cải thiện ở đâu nữa. Ok. Học chương trình cô, học chương trình gì? Chương trình bên cô là chương trình bám sát theo chương trình 3.0 nha cả nhà. 3.0 3.0 Hiện tại nếu mà bây giờ các bạn đăng ký thời gian điểm này là cái thời gian là đúc rồi, nó vẫn là trong khung chương trình là gì á? Sale Tết Bính Ngọ năm 2026, nên là giá nó sẽ được mềm như thế này. Đó. Tất cả là nếu các bạn đăng ký thời điểm này thì là sau Tết các bạn học cũng được. Miễn là các bạn đăng ký trước Tết để giữ voucher giúp cô là được rồi. Giữ voucher giúp cô là được. Tại vì sau Tết không chắc, các bạn biết rồi, sau Tết là phí thuế má nó cũng lên khác đúng không? Tại vì cái chương trình đấy nó vẫn nằm trong sale Tết Bính Ngọ, nên là cô giữ mã 25% thôi. Còn nếu mà sau Tết thì không như thế nào cô cũng không biết nữa. Cô muốn kiểu như là cô live trên kênh này thì cô muốn ưu đãi nhất cho các bạn nào đang xem phiên live. Đó. Còn tất nhiên rồi, bên cô cũng chạy cả phở bò, mi dép Lào mà, cả nhà biết rồi. Ok. Chúng ta quay lại bài cũ nha. Ô, sẽ là kỳ vị chỉ thôi. Đây. Chúng ta có gì ạ? Sô-cô-la. Sô-cô-la, anh ấy tặng tôi sô-cô-la, đúng không ạ? Vậy sô-cô-la của chúng ta là từ gì nhỉ? Sô-cô-la. Sô-cô-la. À, khẩn hở. Ok, Yue Nán. Thì chính nhân mà thì chúng ta phải tặng sô-cô-la đúng không ạ? Chảo cơ ly, đúng không? Chảo cơ ly. Chảo cơ ly, đúng không? Alo hi hi. Ok. Nhưng mà thật sự nếu mà dịch sô-cô-la ra là gì, Hán Việt là gì nhỉ? Xảo khắc lực. Nghe không ra một luôn. Xảo khắc lực. Wow, anh ấy tặng tôi xảo khắc lực. Có thể là xảo khắc lực là cái gì vậy? À, hóa ra xảo khắc lực là sô-cô-la, đúng không ạ? Chảo cơ ly. Ok, tiếng Trung, quái vật tiếng Trung. Điều sợ nhất học tiếng Trung, top 1 mặt Hán, top 2 là gì ạ? Dịch hóa Anh Trung. Chảo cơ ly, mạn tăng ló, khẩn tứa chi. Xong cái gì nữa? Bể thua phân. Ồ, tuyệt vời. Dịch tên mới sợ cơ. Đó, tha xung cái của chảo cơ ly. Anh ấy tặng tôi sô-cô-la, đúng không ạ? Tha xung, ô kìa, em đâu cần tiếng Việt. Tha xung cái của chảo cơ ly, đúng không ạ? Tha xung cái của chảo cơ ly. Anh ấy tặng cho tôi sô-cô-la. Xung cái của chảo cơ ly, đúng không ạ? Ok, nào lại下一字. Sô-cô-la đấy thì như thế nào đây? Hộp sô-cô-la này là do chính tay anh ấy làm. Sô-cô-la có thể là không ngon, không cần đắt tiền, nhưng mà nếu mà gì mình dùng tấm lòng, chính tay mình làm thì nó cũng có ý nghĩa hơn, đúng không ạ? Thì cái tay chính tay anh ấy làm, Hàn ngữ 怎么说呢? Chính tay. Hộp sô-cô-la này là do chính tay anh ấy làm. Cấu trúc nhấn mạnh đúng không ạ? Em muốn nhấn mạnh đấy. Chính tay anh ấy làm. Không biết bao giờ mình ăn được sô-cô-la nhỉ? Thùng luôn rồi. Việt Nam ơi thì cặp cô mơn nhá. Cái kia là thùng rồi đấy Việt Nam ạ. Có thể là ăn từ bây giờ đến 2-3 ra riêng Tết nha. 自己他做的可以. Nhưng mà sẽ là chủ ngữ cộng với cách thức 他自己做的. Khấn nở, fan go. Ok Việt Nam. Nhưng mà nếu mà muốn nhấn mạnh gì, do các bạn dùng từ自己cũng được, nhưng mà ngoài ra có một cái từ khác. Được, bao gói rồi. Khấn hảo, mình có hộp đúng không các bạn? Hộp sô-cô-la bé thôi chứ dùng thùng sô-cô-la thì to quá. Các bạn có thể dùng từ hứa, đúng ba? Hứa, ok, hộp sô-cô-la. Zhe hứa, zhe ok à? Zhe hứa chảo cơ ly, đúng ba? Xảo khắc lực, cái hộp xảo khắc lực này. Chảo cơ ly, khấn hảo thuận. Nếu các bạn nào không biết chính tay anh đến làm thì các bạn có thể nói là gì ạ? Tha tự chỉ做的, đúng không ạ? Do anh đấy làm, bản thân anh ấy làm. Sư tha tự chỉ 做的. Nhưng chúng ta có một từ mới mà cô muốn giới thiệu cho các bạn. Đó chính là tha gì ạ? Chính sổ. Các bạn cũng có thể dùng từ chữ chính sổ, đích thân tay anh ấy làm. Chính sổ 做的. Ok, một từ mới, một cách diễn đạt khác cho các bạn nào. Chính sổ, đích thân, đích tay anh ấy làm. Tự chỉ做也đúng. Nhưng mà nếu muốn nâng cấp từ mới thì các bạn có thể dùng từ chính sổ, đúng ba? Đích thân tay anh ấy làm. Và nhớ nha, chúng ta dùng cấu trúc sự什么什么的 để dùng cái gì ạ? Nhấn mạnh chủ thể của hành động, đúng không ạ? Ăn sống đau bụng. Em ơi, 我花了2个小时，我花了2个小时做巧克力，然后你说我不吃，因为怕吃肚子疼吗？Vậy là thôi, chúng ta chia tay ở đây nha, phân手吧. Thôi, cả kể người ta ăn xong đau bụng, người ta cũng phải ăn một miếng chứ. 亲手做的，对吧？这颗巧克力是他自己做的，hoặc là 是他亲手做的。肚子疼，我们分手吧。对。Này, nó bảo con trai tặng sô-cô-la bảo đau bụng thì cũng không sao, nhưng mà nó con gái mà em sợ em không măn đâu. Anh không măn đâu, anh sợ ăn xong đau bụng là các bạn có thể dễ dàng là có bạn gái giận đấy. Phân sổ luôn đấy, cán sổ chặt tay luôn nào. Thật đấy. Con gái dễ dỗ lắm, người ta đã làm cho rồi xong bảo anh không ăn đâu, anh sợ ăn là đau bụng là quá thể là dỗi 3 ngày 3 đêm liên tiếp đấy. Ok. Rất là khứa, nhớ nhà chúng ta có lượng từ khứa hộp, đúng không ạ? Khứa巧克力 xảo khắc lực 巧克力,对吧? Ok. Rồi, xin phép các bạn like đến đây hôm nhỉ? Hôm nay chúng ta đã like về chủ đề một chút xíu. Về chủ đề gì ạ?情人节rồi. Thì cũng chúc cả nhà, nếu mà ai có tình yêu hoặc là bạn nào đang thích thầm hay nó thì ngày 11 tháng 2 cũng có sô-cô-la của bản thân mình nha. Nhưng mà nhớ nha, nếu mà người ta tặng sô-cô-la rồi bảo em hình như em ăn sô-cô-la của anh hoặc là anh ăn sô-cô-la của em là đau bụng, đừng có nói thế nha. Eo giao cho đồ mình xác á. Em ơi, có phải là Đoàn Văn Sáng đâu mà. OK， 那么我们今天的课到这吧。今天也非常感谢大家的。如果我们没有什么问题的话，老师先关播吧。祝大家好好休息，好好学习呀。Cô hơi bị kinh nghiệm. Không, em đừng có nói thế. 今天怎么这么早就休息了？1个小时而已。Bình thường bây giờ cô sẽ rút live về còn 1 tiếng thôi thì các bạn biết rồi. Cô cũng nói với các bạn rồi đúng không? Cô sẽ rút live về 1 tiếng thôi tại vì cô muốn tập trung cho cái lớp này. Chủ đề cho người đi làm. Chi và 可惜了，我要下播了. Nếu cả nhà muốn tiếp tục gặp cô trong buổi live khác thì cả nhà nhớ nha. Đừng quên sáng 10 giờ 10 rưỡi và tối chúng ta sẽ gặp 6 giờ ngày hôm nay nha. Ok. Cảm ơn cả nhà đã đón xem. Hẹn mọi người trong những khóa học sắp tới của Hàn Kỳ. Và ngoài ra đừng quên cô sẽ live đến 26 Tết, 26 Tết. Nên bạn nào rảnh thì các bạn có thể vào cùng xem, cùng live, cùng trò chuyện với nhau nha. 那我们再见。 sao chưa 结束吧? Năm sang năm cô vẫn like à? Ừ, cô thì cô vẫn like nhưng mà thời gian ra nó sẽ rút ngắn gọn nhiều hơn các bạn ạ. Tại vì cô muốn tập trung cho cái lớp này, chủ đề cho người đi làm nữa, lại thêm một lỡm rồi. Ok, tạm biệt các bạn nha. Nếu các bạn muốn câu hỏi vân vân gì hoặc đăng ký khóa học, nhớ giúp cô nha. Đăng ký trong Phi Live của cô Linh là giá rẻ nhất rồi. 再见。好，今天也非常感谢大家的，祝大家新年快乐，身体健康，万事如意，年年有余。那我们到此结束吧，再见。
Were going on and was he taking a slice of the action? Then they're going to look into his business, Global Council. Where has it's meant to be worth about £40 million? Where has the money come from? And now we're also looking at meetings with ministers, which Keir Starmer went on when he was in Washington with a company, Palantir, not registered, as a ministers' meeting. And I think, gosh, if he's doing that now, what was he doing when he was at the centre of government going back all that way? And I think that's why they're going to start digging.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say, by the way...
So corruption.
But yeah, I'll just say, by the way, look, Peter Manson's obviously not yet been charged of anything, you know, and he's kind of saying that he either doesn't have a recollection of half of this stuff or is innocent of the rest of it. So, you know, we'll say that. But yeah, I mean, I mean, goodness only knows what this could reveal, really.
We've already got a taste of it with Streeting trying to get ahead of the story and releasing his Mandelson messages. Said, number one, Labor doesn't have a growth strategy. Number two, he's going to lose his seat, inferring it's because of changing Islamic demographics in the electorate. 25 years worth of messages. There's going to be enough stories to go out to the next election. Like, how does Starmer think it's going to get better for him? It is terminal.
It's got nothing to do with what happened in the pay.
But if the sounds are all against his party, it's just going to get worse.
All right. Well, look, I'm very glad that we've got another hour because there's a lot to go at, including, you know, this kind of terrorism investigation at what's happened at that school today. So we'll bring you all the latest lines on that.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again, very good evening to you. This is your GB News weather update coming to you from the Met Office. The cloudy and rather wet theme is going to stick with us as we go through the rest of today, overnight and into tomorrow. There's an area of low pressure to the west of us, and this is bringing some blustery winds towards the southwest, also the northeast. And then we have a couple of fronts moving their way in, a big band of quite persistent rain running from eastern England up through northern England across much of Scotland. And here we are seeing some hill snow over parts of Scotland as well through the night. Elsewhere, there'll be outbreaks of rain coming in from the southwest across England, Wales and also Northern Ireland. Because of the cloud, because of the rain, well, it's not going to be a particularly chilly night. Mid-single figures across much of the north and some places towards the south, staying in double digits. So a fairly mild start to the day tomorrow. Across southern parts, there will be some rain around, but it'll be outbreaks of rain, so some drier weather, some wet weather at times. The further north we go, the more persistent the rain's going to be. Quite a damp start to the day. It's not especially heavy, but it is just going to be very wet, and worth bearing in mind that the rainfall totals could be building up, particularly across some parts of eastern Scotland and also southwest Scotland. Could see some high totals, could be a bit of flooding, also some travel disruption as we go through tomorrow. Staying wet then through the day across the northern half of the UK. Further south, something a bit dry, maybe even some bright or sunny spells developing across the south and southwest. And here temperatures similar to today with highs of around 13, possibly 14 Celsius, but if anything feeling slightly nicer because of the sunshine that's breaking through. As we go into Thursday, again, more cloud on offer. There will be rain around. We have a band of rain coming in from the west and then outbreaks of rain coming in from the east. Some glimmers of sunshine may be dotted around away from the wet weather, but on the whole it's going to stay pretty grey. Another grey and wet day on Friday before Saturday, Valentine's Day, does look set to bring a sunnier treat.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Absolutely remarkable set of front pages for you. The Daily Mail and the Telegraph are both leading on the story of a teenager held for, quotes, terror stabbing of boys aged 13 and 12 in a school in London today. The Mail's line is that witnesses say that he shouted Allahu Akbar during that rampage. Counter-terrorism police are currently leading that investigation. So going to give you all the details on that. As well as a new line, it looks like the Home Office is going to try and deport that Afghan child rapist we talked about earlier. All that more.
I'm Andrew Pearce. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
Oh, no, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Michael Portillo. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome along to Patrick Christie's Tonight's Late Edition, breaking right now.
Due to the surrounding circumstances, the investigation is now being led by officers from Counter-Terrorism Policing London.
On the front of tomorrow's Daily Mail, witnesses claim that an attacker shouted Allahu Akbar during a stabbing rampage at a London school. It left boys 12 and 13 seriously injured. There are reports that they are fighting for their lives this evening. Counter-terrorism police are leading that investigation. A 13-year-old boy has been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. I've got some new information for you that I will bring you in a second. But talking of new information,
they were under arrest on suspicion of rape and kidnap of a female in Nuneaton between 8 and 10 p.m. on Tuesday the 22nd of the 7th, 2025.
Tomorrow's Daily Telegraph has an update on that Afghan illegal migrant who raped a 12-year-old girl in Nuneaton. The Home Office this evening are saying that they will deport him. They will deport him, but only depending on his sentence. Right, there we go. We need to get to the bottom of that. I mean, why should it depend on a sentence, personally? But anyway, plus...
I will never walk away from the people that I'm charged with fighting for. I will never walk away from the country that I love.
This is not easy, and it is not a comfortable decision, and it's one that I wrestle with on a daily basis.
Well, The Guardian are leading this evening with reports that Wes Streeting is still planning a coup, despite pledging his faith to the Prime Minister. And can we just please not return to the days of those disgusting traitors headlines that we were doing? Oh, we're going to make a traitors joke, are we? We're going to make Yes, stop it. It's been done. Anyway, Cud Streeting move after the May elections. Also tonight, some frightening images have been released by the FBI in the past few hours showing the masked suspect in the kidnapping of US TV host Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy. I'll bring you the latest on that. And new data has shown that bobbies have been forced to cut back on their beats to just 3 or 4 days a week. But why, you ask? Oh, well, apparently because of pro-Palestine protests. Well, joining us this evening on a night of fast-paced breaking news is political commentator Jonathan List, journalist and broadcasting royalty Christo Foufas, and GB News contributor and comedian Paul Cox. Some huge front pages this evening, but first, let's get that news headlines with Sam Francis.
Patrick, thank you. A very good evening to you. Just after 11 o'clock. Well, the top story tonight, a shocking attack at a school. That is how police are describing a double stabbing today at Kingsbury High School in London, with counter-terror officers now leading the investigation. A 13-year-old boy has been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder after 2 pupils aged 12 and 13 were stabbed this afternoon. Both victims are in a serious condition in hospital. The Metropolitan Police say the suspect fled the scene but was later arrested and that a weapon has been recovered. Officers stress, though, the incident has not been declared terrorism-related, but say they are keeping an open mind on the motive. The head teacher says the attack has been deeply traumatic for the school community. And Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson has also commented, saying she's heartbroken, adding that support is being offered as the investigation continues. Fresh questions are being raised about what Donald Trump knew about Jeffrey Epstein after a newly released FBI document has surfaced in the latest Epstein files. The record summarises an FBI interview with the former Palm Beach police officer, who claims the now president phoned him in 2006, shortly after the police began investigating Epstein for the sexual abuse of underage girls. According to the document, Mr. Trump said Epstein had been, quote, kicked out of his Mar-a-Lago club and that everyone knew about the behaviour. He also reportedly urged officers to focus on Ghislaine Maxwell, who was later convicted of helping Epstein to abuse young girls. Donald Trump, though, has consistently denied knowing about Epstein's crimes, and the White House says there is no corroborating evidence that the call with the FBI took place. Well, that comes as the FBI has also tonight released images of a masked individual as it steps up its search for the missing mother of US news anchor Savannah Guthrie. These new images, the first major breakthrough in the case, show an armed individual stood on Nancy Guthrie's porch on the morning of her disappearance. Savannah Guthrie says her family believes their mother is still alive and has issued a new appeal to information.
We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her.
Well, the 84-year-old mother vanished from her home in Tucson in Arizona more than 8 days ago now, and investigators believe she was taken against her will. The FBI is offering a $50,000 reward as the search continues. And here, pressure is growing on Sir Keir Starmer after Labour's chairwoman has called for his former communications chief to be stripped of his peerage. Labour chair Anna Turley says Matthew Doyle should not remain in the House of Lords following revelations about his past support for a councillor later convicted of child sex offences. Lord Doyle has apologised unreservedly for campaigning for Sean Morton, who later admitted possessing indecent images of children. Labour has now withdrawn the party whip from Lord Doyle while an investigation is carried out and says all complaints are being assessed under party procedures. Downing Street has also said it was not aware of Doyle's campaigning role at the time of his appointment. Those are the latest headlines. More from the newsroom at 9:30 tomorrow morning. Now, though, let's get straight back to Patrick.
Welcome along to Patrick Christie's Tonight Late Edition. I want to bring you right up to date with that shocking breaking news from London this evening. Well, what we know is that counter-terrorism police are currently leading an investigation after 2 boys were stabbed in a secondary school in northwest London. there have been some developments to this story that are on the front pages of a couple of tomorrow's national newspapers. The Daily Mail say that witnesses claim that the attacker, who's believed to be 13 years old, shouted Allahu Akbar during a rampage before fleeing the scene. Again, the Daily Mail sticking with them on this. I've got some more detail that they say that the individual not only shouted Allahu Akbar, but it happened in the middle of a classroom just before lunch. A teenager pulled out a knife and stabbed a 13-year-old boy in the neck and back while shouting about Allah. Seconds later, a second boy, aged 12, was stabbed in front of screaming children. Armed police then attended the school, by which point that attacker had fled. A suspect, he's not been named, was then arrested on suspicion of attempted murder after being found hiding nearby around an hour later. Now, sources are claiming that apparently he was not a pupil at this school. Now, the Daily Telegraph have got a slightly different line on this, which is what they are describing, quote, an American-style attack, but they say that they've spoken to parents who claim that the pupil or the alleged attacker might have actually been a pupil that was suspended or for whatever reason was not due in school that day. Either way, there are several serious questions here. And look, I want to stress that at the moment, nobody has been charged with anything, and certainly nobody's been convicted of anything, and we do have to be very careful about this. But the obvious questions are, it's not currently being treated as a terrorist incident, yet counter-terrorism police are leading the investigation. So why is that? Presumably because of the allegations that he shouted about Allah during this alleged attack. The other question, of course, is what was this boy doing in the school? Was he a pupil there? Was he not a pupil there? And another question is how on earth was he able to bring a knife into school as well? Just a word on the victims here. What's currently being reported is that 2 wounded boys are currently in a life-threatening condition in hospital. So I know that I'll join absolutely everybody in wishing them, hopefully, a speedy recovery. Scotland Yard, like I said, I've got counter-terrorism police supposedly leading that investigation. Apparently, one of the 2 pupils saw what was going on and pulled the fire alarm to get help. This is in the Daily Telegraph. That boy is a hero. He did something. He didn't just let it happen. More children could have been hurt, and that appears to come from a witness who is a martial arts teacher. Sorry, it's a martial arts teacher who has a child at the school who's quoted in the Daily Telegraph. Apparently, they say that the attacker managed to get in by climbing over a wall. It's understood that security staff were at the main gate, which is often locked for most of the day, but the attacker is then believed to have entered a classroom with a weapon. It's believed to have taken place in the science classroom, and terrified pupils were seen banging on the windows and calling for help. And the quote that they've got here in the Telegraph about a, quote, American-style attack is coming from that person whose son, apparently, or daughter, actually doesn't say, was at the school. Yeah, I mean, there you go. He says that he's not surprised because, quotes, most of the kids these days are carrying knives. And this is the line here. I mean, this is, again, just developing. He also claimed that the suspect may have been excluded from the school previously. Another parent who didn't want to be named claimed that they'd been told that a former pupil had carried out the attack. And yeah, this is where we are. So look, it's a fast-moving picture in terms of what details are coming out, and the story is mostly spread across the front page of the Daily Mail and the front page of the Telegraph. But the top and bottom of it is really that a 13-year-old boy is arrested and currently in custody. He's alleged to have shouted Allahu Akbar whilst carrying out some kind of knife rampage at a school in London, leaving 2 boys in a life-threatening condition. Now, as I hope that you'll appreciate, we are going to leave that there for now because this is, whilst no one's been charged or anything, has obviously got the potential to become an active case very, very quickly, and we wouldn't want to do anything to disrupt the court process there. But if we do get any more facts or details or allegations, I will bring them to you. So make sure that you do stay tuned in for that. We wish everyone who's been affected by this very, very well indeed. Right, just dealing with a couple of the other front pages. The Daily Telegraph have got a breaking line tonight, which is actually that The Afghan... Oh, sorry, let me run through all of them. Sorry. The Daily Telegraph, that's their front page. That's their first. Terror probe into school stabbing. If we can go maybe to the Metro next. Yeah. Going down in flames. That is apparently the arrest of someone who was linked in... he was a drugs baron or whatever and had rigged his house up like Home Alone, and that's what the Metro are going with. The Daily Express. Labour's taxes are shameful assault on our high streets. The Sun. I was destroyed by Strictly. Well, look, it's another very sad story, this. This is Strictly's Robin Windsor apparently left a suicide note saying... The way he was treated by the BBC destroyed me. The Pro added, it started me on this road that I'm still on before his 2024 death, aged 44. He was axed after dancing in 4 series, most likely overdosed on drugs and alcohol at a West London hotel, and that is according to what was heard at an inquest. So, you know, it's desperately tragic. It is, of course, yet another BBC Strictly scandal, isn't it? The Mirror. Leo was gentle and kind. The heartbreak will never end. And this is a quote from the father of a boy who was only 12 years old, who was stabbed to death. And the teen who killed him, the person who killed him, laughed in the dock today, apparently, as he was given a minimum of 13 years for a knife murder. It's, again, knives epidemic in our schools. Of course, on the same day as that breaking news story I've just been talking to you about. The Times, Mandelson investigation will go back to the Blair era. Is this an attempt to kick it into the long grass, to delay it, potentially until the next election? Or actually, is this going to be utterly devastating for the British establishment and drag in people like Tony Blair to it as well? Peter Mandelson held a number of high-profile positions in the Tony Blair government, you know, including, I believe, during the times of the Good Friday Agreement. You know, that could be absolutely devastating if something comes out about that, doesn't it? The Guardian. West Streeting is still intent on deposing the Prime Minister. The iPaper, Starmer's ex-number 10 spin doctor has been stripped of the Labour whip because he had links to a sex offender, a child sex offender. So, there you are. The Daily Mail, teen held of terror stabbing as well. We've spoken about that. Now, I want to bring you this story. So, an Afghan asylum seeker who was today convicted of abducting and raping a 12-year-old girl will now apparently face deportations. This is the new line on this story that we led with at 10 p.m. He's called Ahmad Mulakil, who's 23 years old. He's a Channel migrant, and he'd only been in Britain about 4 months before he raped a 12-year-old girl. He abducted her. He first spotted her playing on the swings in a playground. The only reason they actually caught him, or one of the reasons they caught him, is because he used a Home Office card, which taxpayers give money to, about £49 a week, to buy her a drink after the attack. That was one of the pieces of evidence that eventually snared this guy. And, you know, again, you know, you're paying for him to live in a house of multiple occupancy. You're paying for any legal fees that he might be using to try and stay in Britain. You're paying for him to buy that drink for the 12-year-old girl that he raped. Anyway, then you've got the government now apparently saying that they will try to deport. It depends on his prison sentence, which obviously is expected to be more than a year. A senior Taliban official told The Telegraph, that's a line, isn't it, that the terror group would be willing to take Mulakil back and any other Afghan held in a foreign prison. Now, the government doesn't recognise the Taliban, which means that there is no formal returns agreement, but 41 convicted criminals have been returned to Afghanistan in the last 3 years, and the Home Office have released a statement saying we will not allow foreign criminals and illegal migrants to exploit our laws. They'll be referred to deportation at the earliest opportunity. Right, Paul, should this Afghan sex attacker, Afghan rapist, who we do have a mugshot of, by the way, be sent back to Afghanistan?
Absolutely, shouldn't be here in the first place. Look, I mean, just some of the... what a harrowing start to the programme, by the way.
Yeah.
The idea that you've just read something out that mentioned both the Taliban, a returns agreement that we don't have with the Taliban. The Taliban would take this person back like he was part of their ownership in the first place. He's come from Afghanistan. He's arrived on a boat. He's been here 4 months. He's gone into a playground and taken a 12-year-old girl. He's given her a drink. none of these things, they weren't happening. These didn't. If you've just tuned in and you've been in the country 20 minutes and you're on holiday, I'm really sorry. This is not how it used to be. It never used to be like this. We had problems. We had homegrown problems, but we have got to a point now where we are just accepting this, and the government are caveating this by saying we might send him back depending on his prison sentence. Don't give him a prison sentence. Don't pay any more for him. Send him back immediately and gather up anyone else who's likely to do it. And I don't think there needs to be much evidence. I don't care for due process anymore. The idea that we could take the risk willingly with our young girls, for me, is abhorrent.
Christo?
I could weep at these sorts of stories. I was listening to you talking about it on the way in, and actually you want to weep, don't you, that this girl, was she 12 years of age? Just playing with toys when she was describing like what happened to sort of reassure herself afterwards, you know, when she was talking to the police. But no one voted for this. No one voted for any of this. And this nonsense that we hear from the Home Office, oh, we will not allow foreign criminals to exploit our laws. Well, yes, you do. It's exactly what you do. No point saying that afterwards. No point telling us afterwards that you won't allow foreign criminals to exploit us. That's precisely what's happening. And I'm so sick of hearing from people that say, well, this is awful that you're tarring all migrants. There are horrific people who live here in the UK who were born in the UK, and we're stuck with those people because they were born here. And that's terrible that they commit those crimes, but they're ours. I don't know why we're adding to a problem by allowing people to come here and not at least either vetting them, making sure that if they are put somewhere when they arrive here that they are on, as we've said, an army barracks. Why can't we have Nightingale centres? Why can't we have them offshore? Why are we just allowing people to come here and have the freedom to go and do this stuff?
It's a house of multiple occupancy as well as the thing, right? This is the thing. So for all this talk about shutting down migrant hotels, they are going to move these people into houses of multiple occupancy. And I need to remind you about this. We currently have more people, illegal migrants, in migrant hotels than we've ever had. There might be fewer hotels, but what they've done is they've rented bigger hotels. So these people are all going to go into houses of multiple occupancy where there is no security. There is no security. And you know, the upshot of this, John, without wanting to put too fine a point on it, really, is that we are like seeding rapists and abusers and attackers around the country from countries and cultures where this kind of stuff is commonplace.
Well, I don't accept that view, Patrick. Look, it's a very difficult thing to talk about. Obviously, my heart breaks for this girl, goes without saying. There will be people who come to this country who will do despicable things. There were Jewish refugees who came here before the Second World War who did terrible things, and people who fled persecution in decades and centuries gone by who were bad people. Refugees are not somehow more uniquely virtuous than other people. That's not to excuse anything that anyone does.
Well,
but I kind of feel that it's when we single out...
The opposite, though. Sorry, it's not that they're more uniquely virtuous. It's actually that we know that certain countries that they come from, they are actually more likely to commit these crimes.
I think that is not the reason why people have a problem with migration or asylum or whatever. If it was less proportionally so prevalent among a certain ethnic group that was coming here, I think that we would still be highlighting crimes done by these people, even if some white British people were committing a certain crime sort of more proportionally, because there's an agenda, which is obviously to say we don't want sort of migration, we want to, you know.
Do you honestly think that the reason why people are reporting on this particular case...
How many? I mean, how many is acceptable then?
Yeah. This is an outrage.
No, Jonathan,
because it's a trap.
Let me finish the question. Let me finish the question.
What do you expect me to say? That, oh yeah, I agree with some Afghans committing rapes.
You're talking about proportionality. I don't care if it's 1%. I don't care.
But then you're making an argument for no migration at all.
Well, I'm making an argument. No, I'm not. I'm making an argument for, firstly, right, no one would be talking about this if it was women and children. No one would be protesting outside of those hotels when it was families.
These are single men that are committing these crimes, right? So that's the first point in this. Secondly, even if it was 1% of people that came over and did this, that is still going to mean that we're bringing in a problem that was not here before. Now, if we bring people over and we don't know who they are and we can't actually vet them and we are not holding them until we know who they are, how on earth do we solve this problem? I don't want to hear this nonsense about how years ago there were different people that might have come here and had some of these issues.
It's a fact of life that unfortunately human beings can do very, very terrible things. We need to do whatever we can to stop that happening.
Well, we're not though, are we? Because we're letting them in. This is the point.
Well, they are coming in and claiming asylum, which is an internationally recognised human right, and their claims are being processed. The claims are not being processed speedily enough, obviously, and there are some people who are bad people who shouldn't be here. Absolutely.
But unfortunately, we have to wait for them to do bad things before we find out if they're
Patrick,
bad person.
people are coming into this country because of the system that we have, where we're allowing people to come on small boats, and we are allowing it to happen because we've stopped all other options for people to do it. Some of those people will be bad people.
Yeah, so I'm saying stop it all.
But, well, I mean, obviously the government wants to stop it all. Clearly that's not happening at the moment.
There should be no balance of opinion on child rape. There should just be one answer to child rape.
Balance of opinion on it.
I'm not suggesting you are, Jonathan. I understand that for you, immigration is important for a different reason than it is important for me. What I will say is there has to come a point, a moral point, where we stand collectively, whether we are left, right, centre, black, brown, white, whatever, where we say no more. Just absolutely no more.
All right. OK, all right, look, we've got some more front pages to bring you. I mean, the I paper is pretty staggering. Starmer's ex-number 10 spin doctor loses the Labour whip over link to a sex offender. But believe it or not, there is another Labour sex offender story that is breaking this evening. I'll bring you the details of a former Labour councillor who helped to design the Online Safety Act, who has just pleaded guilty to child sex offences online. Yeah, all that can be away next.
I'm Tom Harwood. This is GB News.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and this is GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christie's Tonight, late edition. Can I just bring you up a copy of one of the front pages before we go into another story that's not on the front pages but is big nonetheless, and it's the I paper, because Starmer's ex-number 10 spin doctor loses the whip over link to sex offender. This is Lord Doyle, and he's been suspended after campaigning for a Labour councillor who was charged with possessing indecent images of children. Aside from the obvious scandal here, the other scandal is that this story's been around for, I think, about 2 months. And Starmer must have known about this. I mean, people knew about it. It's been reported. And he's only just apparently asked him to give up the whip. I mean, it's ridiculous. He was given a peerage by the Prime Minister in December. He took his seat in the Lords last month, despite questions over his links to a convicted paedophile. What is going on?
I mean, I don't know. Are we getting to the point now where it would be easier to list the sex offenders and paedophiles that Labour aren't defending? I mean, I'm sorry, but it's just like, it's just constant. It's just constant. I mean, these people, I don't know whether they're thick, I don't know whether they're apologists. Don't they realise that this stuff is bad? Don't they get that defending someone and who campaigned, a Labour councillor who was charged for possessing indecent images of children, what is going on with these people?
When it looked like yesterday that Starmer might resign. It was yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah. Been a long day.
And Starmer then went and did his big speech to the Labour MPs. Apparently, 2 of them, a whole speech about, sorry that I appointed the friend of a paedophile, the world's worst paedophile, arguably, to the position of US ambassador. Whoopsie, sorry. Apparently, 2 Labour MPs said to him, yeah, all right, but what about Lord Doyle? Because this guy campaigned for a bloke who was charged with possessing indecent images of children, and you've made him a lord. So, and then apparently he's only acted because of that.
Do you know that speech you just played where he was like, I will never stop fighting for the people that, need it? I mean, is he talking about nonsense now?
Okay.
I mean, is that it?
Well, there's a certain word that's been said on air there that it's against the Ofcom code.
Oh, what is it?
So it is, yes.
I apologise for that.
I paused there last week.
Okay,
everything we've said this evening, that's the thing that's against?
Yes, it is actually, remarkably. So I would just like to apologise for that particular word. So there we are. But Paul, they do have questions to answer here. Starmer, there's a lack of action over this guy.
I mean, every story we read out tonight, I'm just like, I'm flabbergasted. I mean, the idea, child sexual exploitation seems to be something that is entirely prevalent at the top of our establishment, across the West, across the UK. This isn't just a Labour thing. We've seen it in the Tories before. Why do these depraved... I mean, we were talking before the break about illegal immigrants coming in, and we've all mentioned the fact that we've got our own problem. This is a big problem for us. We've got some sort of collective goldfish memory thing going on here, but it feels like every few months there is one of these people. Disgusting people that shouldn't be allowed in public, but are in high office.
I just want to make one thing very clear. Not that anyone's actually said this, by the way, but just for the avoidance of doubt, Lord Doyle himself has not been convicted of anything or even accused of anything, right? They think that in the court of public opinion, it's not a crime, but you know what I mean, the crime that he's committed would be to have gone canvassing, apparently, with someone who was charged with possessing indecent images of children, and Lord Doyle has apparently apologised to the victims.
He was campaigning for.
Campaigning for. So he's not actually guilty of anything other than, obviously, the silly act of going out campaigning. Just on this, before we move on to another ridiculous story, why do you think it's taken Starmer so long to act here?
I don't know. You'd have to ask him.
All right. Do you think he should have acted sooner?
Look, as I was saying to you before, with this story, as I understand it, Doyle was friends with this guy. He believed that he was innocent. Everyone's innocent until proven guilty in this country. The guy, I think, swore his innocence, and that was obviously a poor judgment call. It was a poor judgment call, certainly, to go canvassing for him. I'm not entirely sure why he was still a candidate, to be honest. That's it.
Well, I mean, that is something, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that I don't quite get about this story, but he hasn't. You know, he was obviously Labour's communications chief, and Starmer wanted to reward him when he left. I think the whole idea of rewarding your cronies should be outlawed anyway. We don't think we should have a House of Lords. But there was a lot of stuff, but it should have been. It's obviously it doesn't look good. Absolutely.
Right. I want to get onto this story. So it's not on any of the front pages, but it is something that broke a little bit earlier on this evening. It's an ex-Labour councillor who sent and requested lewd videos to someone that he thought was the 13-year-old girl. Now, he's today pleaded guilty to child sex offences. This guy is Liron Velleman, who's 30, and he was a councillor for Barnet in North London when the offences happened. Now, there's another added dimension to this story. He apparently worked with Hope Not Hate and also was involved in the drafting of the Online Safety Act. So he was elected in 2022 and he assisted in the drafting of the Online Safety Act. And today he has literally pleaded guilty to online child sex offences. Paul.
This is all a bit much. I mean, it's absolute. This is disgusting. The whole thing is disgusting. I don't understand these people. I will never understand these people. The way they find their way towards politics worries me more than anything, because we keep seeing this in office. We keep seeing this in positions of power. Now, some of it's quite obvious. It was all throughout the BBC in the 70s and 80s. And last week, probably. And it's all throughout the top echelons of our political community. Where are we at? Where are we at?
Remember when Peter Kyle, who's a Labour minister, came out and Labour's attack line for anyone who was against the Online Safety Act was, if you're against this, you're on the side of paedophiles. And now it turns out that one of the blokes who helped to draft the Online Safety Act was a Labour councillor, actually thought they were sending sexual messages to a 13-year-old girl.
They're either child abusers, friends with child abusers, defending child abusers, or campaigning for child abusers. I mean, what the hell is going on here? I don't know whether it's complicity, stupidity. I don't know whether it's I don't know what it is, but how these people are in charge of us and get themselves into positions of power and don't realise that this is just utterly wrong is beyond me. And I'm lost for words. Is there any good news tonight?
I seriously think, there will be in a bit, but I seriously think we need to look again at this Online Safety Act, don't we? I mean, one of the people who helped to draft it has turned out to literally be guilty of an online sex offence with what he believed to be a child. I mean, it's just look again at it.
Patrick, I don't support the Online Safety Act. I think that it was a poorly drafted piece of legislation. I think that when you have these stories, we have to take a step back and say that individuals are responsible for the things that they do. And I don't think that you can extrapolate broader messages necessarily from that. There have always been rotten people in the world. There have always been, unfortunately, sex offences and child sex abuse. That doesn't excuse it for a minute. And the thing to do when these people come to light is to deal with them very harshly. So I don't think the message of it is to scrap the Online Safety Act. I happen to believe the Online Safety Act is a bad piece of legislation, but it's not because of this that I would say scrap it.
All right, okay, and I will just stress that, and I am saying these words now, not everyone in Labour is in any way either defending or a part of child sexual exploitation. Right, look, when we come back, we've got plenty more front pages for you, and in fact, this is a story that is absolutely remarkable. The FBI have now released new footage of a masked person in the hunt for the US missing mother of the news anchor Savannah Guthrie. We're going to be talking about all of that, and apparently one of the reasons why wives are leaving their husbands. Yep, just one of the reasons. That's next.
I'm Stephen Dixon, and thanks for joining us on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show. It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Michael Portillo. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Okay, welcome back. Look, obviously we're going to be touching on all of these front pages. These include things like on The Guardian, Wes Streeting is still intent on deposing the Prime Minister, despite there being a united front. This is according to Wes Streeting's allies, so we'll get to that. But this story is just baffling. So the FBI have released terrifying new footage of a masked person in the hunt for the missing mother of the US news anchor Savannah Guthrie. Footage shows the armed individual stood on Nancy Guthrie's porch the morning of her disappearance. She's 84 years old. She vanished from her home in Arizona more than 8 days ago now, and investigators now believe that she was taken against her will, which, let's be honest with you, the footage would indicate, wouldn't it? Savannah Guthrie said on Monday that her family believes their mother is still alive. They've issued a new appeal for information. Now, the FBI is offering a $50,000 reward as the search continues. I think that's slightly countered by the fact that well, I suppose kidnappers, they want something like $8 million in Bitcoin, and they've given the family a couple of different deadlines to provide this, and no, they've not, obviously. So, I mean, it's just an absolutely staggering story, isn't it?
It's mad. This is an absolutely insane story, and the fact that the thing I find so sinister about this story is that on the surface, and look, I don't know what has gone on, neither does anyone, but obviously on the surface it looks like that is some sort of, obviously, you know, terrible assailant that has come out of nowhere to do this. But then some of the details about the fact that the pacemaker app, which the 84-year-old is connected to, has been disabled. So you can't trace the pacemaker on her phone. So I saw some reports saying, well, actually, hang on, does that mean that she is potentially known to this potential assailant? Because how would they know that she's got this app on the phone that connects to the family, that would know her pacemaker? So there are little details like that that make it really sinister.
And it's the fact that the FBI...
It was pretty sinister to begin with, to be honest. But...
Yeah, but the FBI have drawn a blank on this so far. I mean, they released a statement earlier on. I mean, unless they've updated it in the last half hour or so, I haven't seen it. But basically just saying, look, we've got no idea. It's remarkable. You think the full might of the FBI can't get hold of this, guys.
Yeah, I don't really know what else to say about it. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Well, Christo said he knew nothing about it, so I think you should also say that too, Jonathan, because I'm quite glad that Christo... Because in the break, I was wondering if Christo might know something about it.
What, because I could have been in that mask?
They looked a little bit like you, to be fair.
Thank you.
And Jonathan hasn't denied not knowing anything about it, so I think the suspicion's still on Jonathan. I too know nothing about it. Patrick?
Nothing.
So it's just Jonathan. Look, this has got... Sorry. So, come on, I had to do 45 minutes on paedophiles.
Yeah, you did.
Look, this is terrible, right? This is an 84. This is someone's mother, of course, very famous person's mother in the States. But it scares me that the FBI, for instance, can't just solve. They've got the Ring doorbell footage.
I just thought they'd solve everything. I just thought in America that's how it worked. The FBI just solve it.
Have you encountered a man called Kash Patel? Have you seen the guy who is now running the FBI, who in this article a couple of weeks ago said that if anything happens, he says, what do I say on my socials about it? So Donald Trump is destroying the FBI just like he's destroying every other US institution by employing his lackeys who know nothing about this thing they're supposed to be doing.
It's not Daddy's fault. That's what we call
Ultimately, Daddy has to take responsibility.
On that note, let's go to Bev Turner. Let's go stateside now to Bev Turner, the host of The Late Show Live. Bev, I mean, this is just an absolutely remarkable, incredible, sinister, terrifying story, really, what's going on here. I mean, that Ring doorbell footage is awful.
It is the lead story here in America, Patrick. All the main news channels are basically running on this. They're just rolling on this all day. Because we thought we'd seen everything there was to see in this. It's nearly 10 days, 9 or 10 days now since Nancy Guthrie went missing. And Savannah Guthrie, as you say, her daughter, is one of the most famous breakfast presenters, morning show presenters in America. So we can think of the equivalent that there might be in the UK and how everybody would be hooked. Today, this footage, as you say, has been released. We're going to explain to you on the show why the FBI had not been able to access this security camera footage. It's very interesting. We're going to be talking to a couple of former FBI agents to talk us through this as what might have happened. Part of the problem, I think, is that initially they thought this was a missing persons investigation. They thought the little old lady has walked out in the middle of the night, she's become disorientated, maybe she's gone missing in the desert somewhere. And so the whole scene, of course, was full of people looking, as they do in a missing persons investigation, which then contaminates the crime scene. So now there is a lot of backpedaling, and Kash Patel, FBI head of the intelligence in the FBI here, obviously Jonathan is not a massive fan, has had to get involved, and they are now trying to do what they can, because this little area in Arizona isn't used to these sorts of mass high-profile cases, so they were potentially, I guess, a little bit out of their depth. But we've got a great show coming up tonight. We're going to be looking at that, of course. We're going to be discussing Bangor University banning reform from taking part in the debating society, apparently, because they don't debate people they're not agreeing with. What will my free speech-loving American panel think about that? I'm going to have Katie Balls in the studio. She, of course, is the journalist from The Times who got the last ever interview with Lord Mandelson. Coincidentally, nobody knew what was about to happen to him when those Epstein files dropped. I'm going to be talking to Katie about the timing of that interview, and that actually becomes something of a historical record. And we'll be talking as well, where does this leave Keir Starmer? I watched that speech that he gave today in Hertfordshire, and I have to say, Patrick, I was appalled, actually, that he's somehow casting his stubbornness to listen to the country as a strength, as his resilience. I will not leave you. I will not let you down. I will not walk away. Can you, please? So what does that mean now? It's going to be a great show this evening. That and a whole lot more. Oh, the Man United fan who hasn't cut his hair because he wants Man United to win 5 matches before he cuts his hair. I don't know whether you've seen this story. And it would be okay if the guy's hair just, if his hair just grew down. it might not be that interesting. They were telling me about this story on the team today, and I said, it doesn't sound that interesting. And then I saw the way that this man's hair grows, and I realised that this story is much more entertaining than we might have thought.
Well, absolutely. And unfortunately, Manchester United drew this evening to West Ham, so he's not going to, again, he's got to wait another 5 games, potentially. But anyway, Bev, thank you very much.
Exactly.
I'll see you soon. Bev Turner there, who is the host of the Late Show Live, midnight until 2 a.m. Right, when we come back, there's a row over how to stack the dishwasher, and apparently it's leading to wives literally leaving their husbands. So there you go. Yeah, I wanted to make a joke there, but I actually really don't want Emily to leave me. So even though she'd be well within her rights, yeah, give it time. All of that next.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello. It's been very wet across western areas of Europe as well as the UK. There is some dry weather on the way for this weekend. Before then, though, a few showers affecting the Canary Islands through Wednesday. Some very heavy rain still moving into parts of northern Portugal in particular. Much of Spain and France also seeing that wet weather. As we look further east, it's still unsettled through the Mediterranean, but some sunny spells here and there. But as I said, as we look towards the weekend, high pressure moves in to bring more of us some sunshine across Europe.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
Because
the failure is...
You're
the failure is...
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Look, let's just bring up the front of the Daily Mail. Because they've got a story on here, which is a row over how to stack the dishwasher that turned me into a walk-away wife, they put on the Daily Mail. So apparently, you know, it's one of these petty squabbles that you have at home about, oh, you don't stack the dishwasher correctly, and it's actually leading to women leaving their husbands. Paul, you might know a thing or two about a woman leaving it.
Yeah.
Hey, that's below the belt.
What?
Oh.
It's always the facts that really do make people laugh, though, Jonathan. I'd like to think.
I'll ask you.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll do that off air, Jonathan. But I'd like to think that there was something before the dishwasher. Imagine if it was all perfect up to that point, and they went, "No way." No. What, bowls next to plates, you idiot?
Yeah. Sorry, it's not just happened, does it?
No.
Oh, mate, honestly, oh my gosh. I was absolutely terrified then that I didn't
Nothing's
know
happened, Patrick, nothing's happened.
Oh,
it was.
Right.
I could have really played. No, but nothing has happened, Patrick.
Okay, all right, fine. What kind of petty squabbles do you and your partner have, Chris?
Dishwasher. I mean, that's a really big thing in our house because I never get it right, and I always feel very inadequate.
First time he's ever admitted to that.
When, that's the first time it's ever happened. That's why.
I don't think so.
I feel very inadequate when it comes to the dishwasher, actually, because I always like when I load it, I find that then I turn around and I find that my partner, is then taking out what I've put in and loading it differently. The knives and forks need to go a certain way round in the drawer at the top, and I always put them the wrong way round. So now I get a bit scared when I put the things in the dishwasher. Same as the cans in the cupboard. Basically, I live with a psychopath because all the cans in the cupboard have to face the same way as well. And if I put them in the wrong way, I find that they're corrected, and I feel that it undermines me a bit.
It's not the first time you felt inadequate after a load.
Liz's attempt.
God, please.
Jesus wept.
Right. I'd like to point out I did not say that.
No.
That was not me.
So what I do around our flat is that I developed a tactic a year or so ago which involved me deliberately doing the housework so catastrophically badly that she would never ask me to do it
weaponising
again.
competence, mate, and it's feminism 101. What men do is they deliberately do things badly in the household so women who live with them will say, oh, you know what, I'll do it.
Yes.
It's been happening since the dawn of time, and it's really, really bad behaviour, fellow lads.
Fellow lads.
It's just like being at home.
I'm
surprised you're such an expert on the perspective of men, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a woman, am I? And if I said I was, you'd say I wasn't because you don't like trans people. I have a penis, therefore I must be a man.
Are you having some sort of episode?
No, I'm just trying to inject some levity into
sort of meltdown. Are you okay?
Minutes. Just have a laugh.
Are you alright?
My God.
Are you alright? Was it?
Yes, I'm absolutely fine.
Was it the fact?
I've had enough. I have to. The conflict just spurred me up.
Are you now regretting defending rapists? What's happening? Now, has it sent you over?
Make you take it back.
Complaints not come about him.
Right.
What's happened?
What a ride this show has been.
And you thought that was about dishwashers, didn't you?
Yeah, okay, gosh. Well, look, I suppose this is a warning to us all on the front of the Daily Mail, of course, that if you do not load the dishwasher correctly, your wife might actually leave you. Not like all the time she's threatened to. This time, she's really going. She's really going. She's not just going to spend a couple of nights in a Premier Inn and then come back and you have to buy her some flowers. And sorry, I get flashbacks. Anyway. Right, okay. Right, so let's do a roundup of the papers, which, by the way, can I just say, and it's not my fault, we have to do the news here, right, and the papers are incredibly bleak, so I am sorry about that, but anyway, here they are.
Yeah, stop voting Labour.
Yeah, the Daily Telegraph. Terror probe into a school stabbing. The Metro going down in flames. This is some kind of drug dealer, apparently, that rigged his house up like Macaulay Culkin did in Home Alone. The Express. Labour's taxes are shameful assault on the high streets. The Sun, I was destroyed by Strictly. This is apparently a former Strictly dancer who left a suicide note in which he, well, essentially blamed the BBC. The Mirror, Leo was gentle and kind. This is the father's testimony from his 12-year-old son, who sadly was stabbed to death. Comes on the same day, of course, of another double stabbing in a school. The Times, Mandelson investigation will go back to the Blair era. The Guardian, Streeting still intent on deposing the Prime Minister despite a united front, say allies, where Streeting's not giving up. The iPaper, Starmer's ex-number 10 spin doctor is basically, which turned out was campaigning for a child sex offender. And the Daily Mail, teen held over terror stabbing of boys 12 and 13. Over now to Bev Turner for the Late Show Live.
Thank you, Patrick. We're going to bring you the very latest this evening on the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. We expect there will be some new lines on that in the next couple of hours as those chilling images are released from the security camera. We're also going to be talking about free speech, of course, a significant case in the US today that might just affect us at home. Stay with me. I'll tell you all about it in just a moment.
I'm Andrew Pearce. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
No, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
I'm Bev Turner. Thank you for joining us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
morning. Counter-terror police are leading the investigation into a school stabbing in London.
Yeah, 2 boys aged 12 and 13 are currently in a serious condition.
Due to the surrounding circumstances, the investigation is now being led by officers from Counter-Terrorism Policing London.
Last night, a 13-year-old boy was arrested on suspicion of attempted murder.
Yeah, parents say the suspect had been suspended and was allegedly armed with a sharp weapon in what's being described as an American-style attack.
And on that subject, 7 people are dead and 25 others injured following a school shooting in Canada. Police say 2 additional bodies were discovered at a separate location believed to be linked to the attack.
Also breaking this morning, a man is now being questioned over Nancy Guthrie's disappearance, though it is not yet clear whether he's the same person seen in images previously released by the FBI.
Today, the Prince of Wales will end his 3-day visit to Saudi Arabia as he tries to strengthen ties with one of Britain's closest Middle East allies.
And one of Britain's biggest fare dodgers will be sentenced today at Westminster Magistrates Court for 112 unpaid journeys. So today we're asking, should fare dodgers face jail?
And we're going to be joined by former Coronation Street star Charlie Lawson, who says ITV ruined the show with a weak storyline for his character's exit. Jim McDonald.
What's gone with the draft? He's in the army now, a blowing reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B.
And we'll be treated to a live performance by Amelia, Sienna and Lottie from the Duchy Darlings. And they're incredibly young for singing these songs. It's a great act. You won't want to miss this.
And in sport this morning, Spurs find themselves in a proper relegation fight. What is it? I felt the way you were looking at me as they lose at home to Newcastle. Late goal at West Ham means that Michael Carrick stays unbeaten as Manchester United boss. And it's a Winter Olympic 4th again for Team GB as the Colours lose to Italy.
Widespread and persistent wet weather once again this morning, but there are signs of something slightly different later this week and into the weekend. More details coming up in the forecast very soon.
And a very good morning to you on this Wednesday morning. Wherever you're joining us from, you're very welcome. I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Dawn Neeson, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Fare dodging business, we're going to be talking about that. Have you ever fare dodged in your life?
No.
You don't have to. No.
Actually, that's not true.
No. Oh.
That's not true. That was a blatant lie. First thing in the morning. Good morning, everybody. Yes, I did when I was young. Kind of wasn't intentional, though.
How young? 32? 33?
No, I think I was about 15 at the time, but it wasn't intentional. There was just nobody there collecting, tickets or anything, or selling tickets. So this was back in the day.
Well, you didn't dodge them; they dodged you.
Exactly.
Yeah, Paul.
Exactly.
No.
Don't think I have, honestly.
No, neither have I.
I hate it when you have you seen it where someone quickly run up closely to try and get through?
Yeah.
Honestly, no.
Yeah. And that's with trains getting through gates and things.
Yeah.
So you can do it on a train, you can do it on a bus, you could do it on a tube.
Yeah.
It could be all there.
But would you tackle someone? I mean, how many times now do you see people just like literally pushing through the barriers or tailgating someone through the automatic barriers? And would you ever say anything?
And what are they going to do?
No, see, that's the what are they going to do? Yeah, what are you going to say, and what are they going to do if you do say it? Well, look, it's a whole big dilemma today, and if you're a friend of GB News, you can vote in this poll today. What are we asking today?
Yeah, we are asking, should fare dodgers be sent to prison? If you want to vote, it's really, really simple. Go to gbnews.com/you-decide or scan the QR code on your screens.
Now, could it just say, is prison not a bit...
For one, you've gone through the barrier.
Jail.
That's it. Life imprisonment for you. Maybe a little strong, don't you think, for one journey?
The other problem is there's no room in prisons. There's no room in prisons. We can't put rapists in prisons. So fare dodging...
It's not likely going to make it. Well, your vote matters on that. You can have your say as well. gbnews.com/you your say, okay? Now, Britain's facing what many people are calling a knife crime epidemic. That's what we're leading on this morning after 2 boys were stabbed at their school.
Yeah, a 13-year-old has been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder, and police have recovered a weapon.
Now, the investigation is being led by counter-terrorism officers.
We're keeping an open mind as to any motivation behind this attack. However, due to the surrounding circumstances, the investigation is now being led by officers from Counter-Terrorism Policing London, who are working closely with our local officers in response to this incident. The investigation has not currently been declared a terrorist incident, and the investigation team will now be working at pace to gather any evidence and to establish the full circumstances of what has happened as quickly as possible.
Peter Blexley, former Scotland Yard detective, joins us now with his take on this. So, a 13-year-old boy, Peter, he's arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. It's a double stabbing so far. And, you know, Peter, then we look at what's going on in Canada, you know, where mass murders are taking place there. And how long is it before we are at the scale of America and Canada?
Well, let's sincerely hope we don't get anywhere near the figures that are suffered on the other side of the Atlantic. Albeit, of course, we have our own knife crime epidemic, which is deeply, deeply concerning. I'll give some credit here to the Metropolitan Police in London in particular, because there has been a reduction in knife murders. But however, the carrying of knives is so widespread and the stabbing numbers are so appalling that really we have the surgeons, the doctors and the nurses to thank in many regards, because if it wasn't for their utter brilliance, then the murder rate in London would be far higher than what it actually is.
Can you just explain, counter-terrorism police are involved, but it's not declared a terrorist incident. Can you try and explain what might be going on there?
Yes, the clue came from the clip of the senior officer that we just saw when he quoted surrounding circumstances. So there must have been something said or something must have happened that might lead people to think that this could be a terrorism-inspired attack. Hence, counter-terrorism officers are investigating it. It hasn't been declared as a terrorist incident thus far. And what I think will happen today is probably one of 2 things. One, they might declare it as a terrorism incident, and therefore the investigation will remain with the Counter-Terrorism Command, or they will say it is not now regarded as a terrorism incident, and then perhaps local homicide detectives will take the case forward. We'll have to see as the facts unfold, but clearly there's a lot of sensitivity. This is northwest London. This is an area of a large mixed population. People from all over the globe have set up their communities there, some less integrated than others. We shall have to see. There's a lot of sensitivities here, and the police are on red alert as to community sensitivities and responses.
Well, it's all right saying we're on red alert. What does red alert actually mean, Peter? I mean, what I'm getting at basically here is I listen to this week after week, month after month, about these sort of stabbing incidents. And to me, one of the obvious things we could be doing is setting up screening arches, knife arches, where, you know, you go in the way you would at an airport and a machine will bleep if you're carrying something metallic or whatever it is. And there's all this shock, horror, outroar about this. I'd rather have that than my child stabbed.
Yeah, I quite agree. Let me deal with your first point, if I may, asking me what do I mean about red alert. Well, we know that there are lots of community sensitivities in the UK, throughout all communities. Let's just look at the fallout from the dreadful, dreadful events in Southport not so long ago. Communities were outraged. They stood up, they went to the streets. Some unfortunately broke the law, but there was a lot of very, very heartfelt feelings about that. Once again, we've got children who are stabbing victims here. The police are really on red alert as to community sensitivities. What they don't want to do is put information out there that will inflame the situation and make any particular community rise up and express their anger out on the streets of London. Secondly, your point about knife arches. Yes, I agree, but isn't it a shame that Britain has sunk so far that we now have to talk about our children, our grandchildren, going to school and potentially having to be screened as if they were getting on an aeroplane just to go into a class to be given lessons by their teachers. I think they are necessary in certain parts of the country. I think more investment should be put into them so that we can try and keep our children safe. But what a sad, sad indictment on how far this once great nation has sunk.
Well, we've got to leave it there, Peter. We've got people talking this morning and we're getting people to register their comments, having their say on this today. So thank you very much indeed. Always appreciate you being there, Peter. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, and it's just an ordinary school in North London, by the way, 11 to 18-year-olds, and it has secure gates. It has security guards on the gates already. Once the kids are inside, the gates are closed. This person, 13-year-old as well, supposedly climbed over the wall to get into the school. It's just horrendous. These are children. And one of the parents interviewed afterwards said he wasn't surprised that it was a knife attack. He goes, most of the kids carry knives these days.
Yeah, and we'll cover the situation in Canada. We'll let you into that later in the programme. Meanwhile, on the political front, a lot of officials are reviewing 25 years of records dating back to Tony Blair's government over Jeffrey Mandelson's links to Jeffrey Epstein, or Peter Mandelson's links.
Yeah, the fallout from the Epstein files continues to shake Westminster and the Royals, obviously, with resignations mounting and the Prime Minister facing pressure from, does he have any allies left? Not sure. So joining us now to try and explain a pretty seismic day again yesterday is former Conservative advisor Oscar Redrop. Oscar, good to see you. So many strands to unpick with what we saw yesterday. Let's start with the story about them going back over so many years, 20-odd years of records of Mandelson. This could, in theory, involve Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, as well as Keir Starmer being questioned by the police.
Yeah, absolutely. The ramifications for this, you really can't undercook in a way. I think everyone was deeply, deeply shocked by and there's no other way to shake it, Peter Mandelson, as business secretary, ultimately betting against UK PLC and handing over, absolutely market-sensitive government policy around the financial crash, which many people watching this show, millions of people up and down the country suffered from greatly, and the fact that our business secretary at the time was handing over information to, and was known at this point, by the way, we must not forget, a paedophile, is, just saying it out loud, it honestly beggars belief. This will be hanging over now, if they're going to dig back over, 2 decades worth of stuff, as well as the more recent stuff and the handing over of the WhatsApps and all the correspondence that led to the appointment, this will be handing over a Prime Minister and a number 10 that feels very lame ducky, to say the least, at the moment.
Well, I would say slightly more than lame duck. He's in now. The Keir Starmer yesterday, everyone came out and backed him, and I think because they looked over the precipice and saw what was on the other side and thought, right, we'll back him. A, does anyone actually believe that the Cabinet are fully behind their leader and have every faith in him? And B, he lurched to the left yesterday. Now, was that just to appease the likes of Angela Rayner and Ed Miliband? Is he literally a hostage to them now? Are they really the ones pulling the strings?
He has been for a very long time. I mean, before any of this, when we think about the welfare votes, the left have been kind of silently driving Keir Starmer, or at least really trying to get their claws in. I think, in fairness, Morgan McSweeney was one of the last defenders against that. He's now gone because of this Mandelson mess. So Keir Starmer is absolutely right where they want him. You see Ed Miliband yesterday all over TV stations and newspapers talking about exactly that, how, we probably need to go back to, steer to the left, talk about the kind of traditional Labour. So Keir Starmer at this moment in time, it is still finished. He is in office, not power, cliche as that is, but that is exactly where he is right now. And he is only aided by the fact I think Wes Streeting has a bit too much of a Mandelson smell around him at the moment. Lorena still got to get her tax affairs in order. That is it. That is honestly the only reason why Keir Starmer's there. So in some ways, Keir Starmer is a useful idiot right now for those backbenchers. Honestly, it's brutal politics, and that's how he will be viewed. He can wear the locals, he can wear the by-election. And then ultimately, I think they'll be done with him. Just to present a more positive outlook for Keir Starmer, though.
Okay.
If I was sat round the table advising him, which would take a, I'm not waiting on the phone for that call. But he's always been criticised, I think rightly, for kind of offshooting who he is. You know, Morgan McSweeney, advisors. You know, who is Keir Starmer? He outsources political decision making. That team around him's gone now. So if he can actually get his act together and actually kind of show people the real him, and a lot of people will be watching going, well, the real him doesn't seem up to much. But if he can actually really make a couple of decisions right, kind of stave off the attacks, he can turn around to the country and say, this is the real me, actually. I'm actually quite good. I just had these advisors around me and this team around me that were dragging me down. That's the positive spin I'd put if I was in Starmer's office.
Interesting.
Come back and talk to us again, Oscar. For the moment, thank you very much indeed. Have your say on what is going on. Please do get in touch. And daily reflection right now with the time at 60 minutes past 6.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Welcome to the Anglican parish of St Andrews, Wimbledon, where I serve as the vicar. Do you ever find that you start a new project with loads of energy and enthusiasm, but soon enough everything begins to fade? We say a new year, a new you, but then Jesus told a famous parable of a sower who sows seed, and some of it falls on the rocky ground. The seed springs up quickly, but because there's no depth to the roots, when the heat comes, it withers. I meet many people who say they struggle with the shallowness and rootlessness of modern life. Lots of speed, energy and hype, but little to no depth. The amazing thing Jesus offers is a kind of life through the seed of his word. When it lands on good soil and takes root, produces a vast crop, 60 or 100 times bigger. Could it be that in our modern, busy, hyper-distracted world, we actually need to reconnect our roots with God? Not for a fresh burst of enthusiasm, but to be deeply rooted for the long haul. Wonderfully, that's exactly what Jesus Christ offers, day after day.
It's a good day for a reflection, it has to admit, so hopefully that brought you a bit of a peace on a pretty traumatic morning. OK, let's have a look at some of the other stories coming into the newsroom. Breaking this morning, at least 10 people have died and 25 have been injured in a school shooting in British Columbia in Canada. Another 2 people were also found dead at a separate location, which police believe was connected to the incident. According to officials, the suspect was also found dead with a self-inflicted injury.
Also breaking, a man has been detained in connection with Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. Police are searching his home in Arizona. This is the mother of the television news anchor.
And it is unclear if it is the same person seen released in those FBI images we saw earlier. Guthrie was abducted from her home near Tucson over a week ago, triggering a widespread search.
Israeli Prime Minister has arrived in Washington, where he is going to meet President Trump to discuss negotiations with Iran. Benjamin Netanyahu says any agreement must include limiting ballistic missiles and halting support for Iran's axis.
Busy morning, but it's time for a quick look at the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office. Changes to the weather are on their way, but for today at least, more wet weather is expected widely across the UK, with a colder feel across Scotland and much of the rain over hills turning to snow before the day is out. But it's a wet picture for virtually the whole of the UK, aside from the far north and northwest of Scotland and the south of England, where there will be some drier and brighter weather at times, albeit still with some showers here and there. As you can see, a lot of rain elsewhere. Persistent spells of wet weather continuing across eastern Scotland could cause some issues given the saturated nature of things. But by the end of the day, actually, as the cold air begins to arrive above 300-400 metres, we're talking about snow over the Grampians, and that will come down even lower on Wednesday night into the start of Thursday. So cold end of the day for Scotland, feeling cold in the wind as well for northern England into Northern Ireland, but further south we're in the milder air and actually some cloud breaks as we go into Wednesday evening for South Wales, into parts of the central and southern part of England, but some rain will skirt the far south and southeast, clearing away into the near continent. Meanwhile, Thursday and the early hours brings a lot more rain once again to Northern Ireland, parts of northern England, especially the northeast, as well as eastern Scotland. Showery rain elsewhere, a lot of cloud cover, so generally a mild start in the south on Thursday, but a colder feel for Scotland, for northern and eastern England, with biting easterly wind starting to arrive. And that means there'll be some sleet and snow showers for the north and east of Scotland, increasingly so through Thursday. Rain rather than snow through Northern Ireland into much of northern England, parts of Wales and the Midlands. In the southwest, it's brighter for a time, further showers to Cornwall by the end of the afternoon. And then during Friday and the weekend, it turns colder, but also a little drier.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Just want to say we are hoping to surprise the latest winner of the Great British Giveaway. So stand by your phones.
Yes.
Keep your phones nearby. It could be you, of course.
Exactly, yes. And keep watching and listening on your radio as well, just in case it might be someone you know, in which case I'd get on the phone to them and say, hi, remember me. Just a good idea, because it was a load of money, wasn't it? Yeah. OK, but first, today, the Prince of Wales is ending the most important foreign visit of his public career in Saudi Arabia. We'll bring you the latest on that story. This is GB News Breakfast with Ava and Dawn.
They are under no illusion.
Ray,
Are you a human trafficker?
boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because
because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
We can allow. We can allow.
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Later in the programme, we are going to surprise the latest winner of the Great British Giveaway competition. Now, Prince William in Saudi Arabia, very successful tour. It seems to be. What exactly has he achieved? What has he done? Our reporter Jack Carson will bring us into the picture there. Jack, good morning.
Good morning from probably what is the most beautiful site that I've ever had the pleasure of broadcasting from. Welcome to Al Ula, this 7,000-year-old archaeological area. This Sharan Nature Reserve, which is where we are today, is where Prince William will kick off his last day of official engagements here on his 3-day trip to the region. He'll be toured around this beautiful site. As you can see, the stunning landscapes. You can understand, can't you, why this is becoming such a hub for tourism in the area, but also, of course, with tourism also comes the need for very careful conservation, balancing the very careful ecosystems that are here. So that's some of the conversation that His Royal Highness will have with some of the park rangers that operate this park, but it'll also learn about sustainable farming here in the region as well as visit the old town of Al Ula to understand how cultural relations between the United Kingdom and Saudi Arabia continue to grow. This has been such a strategic, important trip for Prince William, and we've been following him around over the past few days. Prince William hits the back of the net in an historic women's football engagement in Saudi Arabia. But for the next in line to the throne, the only goal here in the Gulf is deepening ties for decades to come. The Prince showing off his skills on the football pitch highlights the rapid improvement in women's rights here, with thousands of girls across the Arab state taking part in regional football sessions like this one. The revelations about the former Prince Andrew's connection with Jeffrey Epstein have proved a major headache for the royal family. On Monday, the King and William issued statements expressing concern for the victims of the growing scandal. As he left the football pitch, His Royal Highness faced the inevitable questions from the broadcast media. Sir, to what extent do you think the royal family has done enough around the Andrew and Epstein issue? Aides to William stressed he had a job to do, and he was getting on and doing it. From the physical to the virtual, esports are thriving in Saudi Arabia, with the country hosting the industry's annual World Cup. Receiving a tour of their purpose-built arena, the Prince couldn't help but have a go at one of the sport's most popular games, Rocket League. He didn't manage to win, but the taking part is what counts. The Sports Boulevard in Riyadh has turned what was an urban wasteland into a thriving community hub with more than 3 million people using the facilities every year. Prince William experienced Saudi Arabia's commitment to sustainable regeneration firsthand. The Prince took his time to look around and speak to people, including structural engineer student Rosiz Alagil.
He seems really nice. I feel like we'll have a great experience with him. Tell him a little bit about how us Saudi students are, really utilizing the Sports Boulevard and how everything has really changed for the better, especially for women and for us students.
This is a strategically important trip for the government and the Prince personally, as he takes his next steps on the international stage. Jack Carson, GB News, Saudi Arabia.
Thank you. you very much, Jack. Now, royal commentator and author of The Royal Legacy, Robert Jobson, joins us. Robert, good to see you this morning. I mean, it sounds like it's a fairly successful tour, a lot of soft power being used there.
Yeah, fairly successful. It's a bit like the band playing as the Titanic goes down. The reality is there's such a huge story going on at the moment that all seems a little bit sort of irrelevant, in my opinion. Yes, it's boosting Prince William's position as a statesman going forward. But, we're talking about rights of women in Saudi Arabia. What about the rights of the victims in the Epstein scandal? And why is that not being addressed straight and publicly by the royal family rather than issuing statements through press officers? I think it's very difficult to have a diplomatic mission without getting this situation resolved to the satisfaction of the people, because people are not really satisfied with somebody losing their title or their big house. They want accountability, and I think this is such a huge story. It just seems, rather difficult for William to carry on his role while this is going on.
I mean, Robert, he did dodge it. He was asked by journalists out there. He was asked questions about Uncle Andrew, but he didn't say anything. He did dodge them. As you said, the only thing he and Catherine have done is issue that statement that they're thinking about the victims of the Epstein scandal. Yeah, and it came from a press officer on the eve of his arrival, which, of course, and it repeated essentially what the King had said prior to his statement, which was taking things a little bit further. It came from a press officer saying that our concern is with the victims. Yeah, that may well be the case. But what is happening with Andrew Mountbatten Windsor? He is on a royal estate, is living there, being paid, we presume, by the King, and there's no accountability. The problem here is it's also institutional, because this has been going on, Dawn, for many, many years, as you know, and I've been on your show talking about it before with Eamon. The reality is, who knew what and when? And if the royal family paid £12 million to the tragic figure of Virginia Giuffre many years ago, plus all his legal expenses, is that hush money? What is it for? We need to see the same level of transparency as we're going to hopefully see with the Mandelson inquiry. And if there is fault with the institution, that is a problem for the monarchy.
But is it a problem, Robert? Am I right? If I picked this up wrongly, is Sarah Ferguson out there as well?
Look, Sarah Ferguson is in Qatar, apparently. There's a report in the Daily Mail today saying that, and that she's planning a comeback. I think that's pie in the sky. The fact is Sarah Ferguson, who took her two children, who were children at the time, to meet the convicted paedophile Epstein 2 or 3 days after he'd come out of prison, seems astonishing. But I had an exchange with Sarah. I know her fairly well quite recently, and she's, this was probably in the last month or so, and she said they're out for blood. She was concerned about her mental health. She was concerned really about what was going on, and that the palace were out together. I think that the reality is that Sarah needs to probably lay low a little bit before planning any comeback. Because first of all, she obviously knew Epstein well. She had interaction with him, and maybe she could also give evidence to the inquiry and actually help some of the victims and help some of the families of the people that have been involved. I think that it's all well and good, the royal family just carrying on as if nothing's happened. But this is probably one of the biggest scandals they've faced. I wasn't around at the abdication, and nor you, Eamon and Dawn, but probably about on that scale. This is a huge, huge scandal.
And Robert, just quickly and finally, there could be a criminal investigation into Andrew, formerly known as Prince, over misconduct in public office, exactly what information he was giving away. That could carry a life sentence. What do you make of that?
It's difficult to say. That's a very complex case, I think, proving that it was done with intent, proving that he gained from it, all sorts of things I think were involved. And I think also it's a distraction from a far bigger story, which is the scandal involved in sex trafficking, underage women, and that scandal and the cover-up that's involved there. But look, it's a very serious story. But I'm sure that the royal family and the king, who's at no fault here, is doing his best to deal with it. But what a problem to deal with.
Robert, lovely hearing from you. Thank you very much indeed. Good to see you again. We'll say goodbye there at that stage. Thank you very much indeed. Coming up to 25 to 7. Here's the Great British Giveaway.
You could win cash and the ultimate holiday in our two-part Great British giveaway. Thanks to Riviera Travel, you could be jetting off on a £10,000 dream holiday for two people. With flights, transfers and luxury accommodation included, you'll get to choose the kind of holiday you want. So whether you're looking for hotel comfort or on a relaxing river cruise, you'll be able to find the perfect match from over 30 global destinations on offer. And because the holiday is handpicked with you in mind, you know it's going to be perfect. Plus, we're going to give you £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. Your summer can start here, so make sure you don't miss out.
For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB19 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 27th of February. The winner may be contacted live after all entry routes have closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
And Vavavrum, here comes the travel.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the A725, southbound traffic is halted between Wraith Interchange and Blantyre, with the on-slip from Whistleberry roundabout also shut, as extensive overnight roadworks continue. In Kent, there are lane restrictions on the A20 eastbound between the A260 and the A256 at Dover West, so allow extra time for your journey through that stretch. Additionally, on the trains, Cross Country is reporting disruption at Stansted Airport, while Great Western Railway faces disruption on multiple routes, so check before you travel. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
GB News, Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We've got Paul here, and he's looking back at the sport last night. It was a really, really busy night, Paul. No, I know, but important results, important.
Was. Right, here we go. Spurs 1, Newcastle 2. Spurs, 2 Premier League wins in 17, 12 points from 51, 5 defeats in the last 9, 15th loss of the season, 8 games without a win, have not won a game in 2026.
Yeah.
Thomas Frank, the manager, is under huge pressure, but I honestly do not think he's going to get fired. I think in most clubs, the manager would go now, but Thomas Frank, again, can you imagine what it's like trying to sleep when you're Thomas Frank last night? This is what he had to say straight after the game.
Never only the head coach, all the ownership, all the directors, all the players, all the staff, is everyone. If you do something right, you will build something that can last. Of course, we are not in a top position now. Everyone knows, directors, ownership, myself, what position we are in and what we need to improve and what we need to do better. And that's what we're working very hard on.
So, there's Thomas Frank. Doesn't look too happy, does he?
He's getting sacked in the morning.
I don't know whether he is.
How many managers can you get through? It's like Conservatives and Prime Ministers.
Look, this is the way it's probably looking. Is that there's so much talk
He's
about
not a bad
Pochettino.
manager, so why is he being sacked?
Because things are bad.
Yeah.
And then where do they turn? Let's talk about Mauricio Pochettino. He's the manager of the United States. So is it like the board are going to wait until the summer? But then again, it may be too late because they're in free fall.
Also, and I think this would be a bad idea, but I think Man United are still interested in Pochettino.
Do you think so?
Oh, absolutely.
With Michael Carrick, but see, the thing is, the result yesterday, so West Ham won, who were 1-up right up until the 96th minute. Benjamin Sesko
96th minute.
For Manchester United
You
in
messaged me.
time. To save.
But it was a great goal, great equaliser.
It was a great equaliser, but so late. And anyway, Carrick's still unbeaten, though.
Yeah.
And
look, I'm a Carrick fan. You know, don't get me wrong, but I just think the way the business philosophy works, they will be looking for a tangible asset. Somebody's.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Chelsea 2-2 with Leeds. In that game, Chelsea were 2-up. This is at Stamford Bridge. Leeds came back.
It's an incredible result for Leeds.
Yeah, they're up to 15th now, so they're above Tottenham. Everton were beaten by Bournemouth, and David Moyes was very unhappy with that. But they're both on the same points, the two of them. But this is the game. Now, this happened in the Championship yesterday. Leicester City, we think some teams in trouble. Leicester City are having a terrible time. You know, we remember them winning the Premier League. Got relegated. Now they're in all sorts of trouble. Now, I'm going to ask you what you think happened. So Leicester are 3-0 up. You can probably tell by the way I'm saying it. 3-0 up after half an hour against Southampton.
They must have got 4 players sent off.
Well, 4 is right, but it was Southampton then scored 4 goals and won 4-3. And this is at Leicester.
Did they get 4 players sent off?
Stadium. Yeah. 3-0
So I just completely made that up. I have no idea.
Well, no, they didn't have 4 players. They scored 4 goals. So Southampton win 4-3. I mean, it's unbelievable. What a result that is for Southampton. But for Leicester, they are just off relegation, could be going down to League One. That's how bad things are.
Oh, and it seems like 5 minutes ago they were winning the title.
You know, lovely club, lovely owners, everything really nice. Love going there. Really great atmosphere. And the fans all have these fans that they...
Yeah, it's just really irritating to me, honest with you.
But the thing is, I think what they're doing at the moment is going like that, ripping them up and tossing them onto the pitch. It's not good. There's a lot of unhappiness in football at the moment, especially from this end of the table.
But look, when you come back, you're going to tell us about the happiness, happiness at the Winter Olympics.
We'll do some of that. We'll try.
Thank you, my friend.
Cheers, Kofi. OK, don't go too far, though, because we've got the papers coming up next with Claire Muldoon and Tim Vincent, and they're talking about posh nosh for breakfast. Why not? We'll see you soon.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries, all sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Still plenty of unsettled weather throughout the Mediterranean, particularly windy in Corsica, Sardinia, Sicily, and it's going to be a wet one for parts of France as well as Greece. But finally, for much of Iberia at the moment, it is drier and sunnier compared with recent weather, aside from the far south of Spain and Gibraltar. Here, we've got a lot of unsettled weather moving through Corsica, Sardinia, Sicily, parts of Italy, some heavy rain. That pushes into Croatia and Greece next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
First of all, let's get a grounding here. What makes Scotch Scotch?
Well, first of all, and most importantly, Scotch whisky must be made and aged here in Scotland, but it goes beyond that. So, for example, it must be aged in oak barrels here for a minimum of 3 years. It can't contain any added flavourings. It must have a minimum strength of 40%. Quite a long list of requirements that makes Scotch whisky unique to Scotland.
And of course, it must be delicious in every glass and every tasting, doesn't it? Now, around the world, we hear about fakes, we hear about counterfeits. How do people take advantage of Scotland? We see a lot of Scottish-style whiskies out there, and that's where you come in.
Well, absolutely. So the Scotch Whisky Association, on behalf of the industry, is there to protect the geographical indication Scotch whisky. So sometimes we're dealing with products that are called Scotch whisky when they're not. For example, they've not been aged. In other places, people are trying to take advantage of our culture. They might be using tartan, they might be showing bagpipers, using the words Glen, Mook, all these sort of things to try and confuse people into thinking that what they're drinking is Scotch when it certainly isn't.
Now, it's quite common. We see, obviously, a lot of us go on holiday and we see bottles of whiskey and we want to bring them home. Sometimes they even look unusual, and that's why we want, people want to bring them home. But if somebody thinks that they're bringing home not the genuine article of an established distillery, what kind of things are they looking out for?
Well, first of all, I can reassure everyone that if you're buying your Scotch whisky from a normal retail channel, duty-free, then the chances of coming across a fake are tiny, infinitesimal, because they have very strong controls. And it's also worth noting that all brands of Scotch whisky must be verified by UK Customs.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Here's how the newspapers are stacking up on this Wednesday morning. Telegraph, first of all, terror probe into school stabbing.
Yes, and the Eye paper, Starmer's ex-number 10 spin doctor.
Guardian, Streeting will still be intent on deposing the Prime Minister despite a united front.
Meanwhile, the Mail has a horrific story of the teen held for terror stabbing of boys aged 12 and 13 in the classroom.
Well, joining us to go through those, we say hello, good morning, Claire Muldoon.
Good morning.
And Tim Vincent, good morning. Good morning to you. Awful thing about schools again, and we're dealing with stabbings and, not only here, but also in Canada this morning.
Just the level of violence, the level of unscripted violence, it seems to be off the charts in young kids, in schools. It's never ending. And, where is the root of it? Is it these violent games that they play online? Is it social media? Is it the fact that they can't integrate into society, children, that is, any one of them? And they just don't seem to be, these perpetrators, whoever they are, just don't seem to be able to live normally, live decently, and do what they're supposed to be and be where they are supposed to be, kids. at school?
Well, I'm a parent of young children, and it is a frightening scenario that I have to think about coming up in the future. And I've obviously used to live in America for quite a few years. I talk to friends via text, and they've got children the same age. And I innocently they were saying, I'm really kind of upset about my child's going to have to go to school a certain year and a new school next year. And I said, oh, you'll get used to it, they grow up. And she went, no. Because I'm worried about the fact that the school's going to get attacked, either by guns or by knives. And it's actually something that we have to consider in this country now.
Schools in
What is
Wales,
going forward?
some schools in Wales now have got metal detectors at the school entry.
But I've no issue with that.
I think it's just lowering it, and I think that's rising then to expectation. And if they're going to come in with a knife, they're going to get in with a knife. And let's be honest.
Look, I grew up, I went to school in a city that was just full of knives and full of guns, and machine guns and all sorts of things. And we never had anybody bringing anything into school.
We used to it with airports. It's just a 2-second thing, and at least it's a deterrent.
It is a deterrent. I mean, the shocking thing about this story is front page of your Daily Mail today. We don't know the reason. As we know, a 13-year-old boy has been held, but the Daily Mail's front page says, teen held for, in quote marks, terror stabbing of boys 12 and 13 in class. And eyewitnesses claim the attacker shouted Allah Akbar during the rampage. The interesting thing with this particular school in North London, the interesting thing with this school in North London, it has security gates on it. The security gates, a lot of the security guards, the alleged attacker climbed over the wall to get in.
So that's what I mean. There are ways and means of kids who want to make this level of violence to other members of their school community. It will happen. In art departments, in the catering departments, there are knives there. If someone wants scissors, if someone wants to get at something, they will make it work. They will do it.
So where's the defence? Where do you stop it? Where do you stop the knives coming in?
Well, I think you need to
if somebody had a knife on the streets and they were found by a policeman, then they should have a very severe sentence applied to that straight away. You don't need to carry a knife on you. That's the end of it. For protection or otherwise, as far as I'm concerned, because that's dangerous. There's so many people angry all the time on their phones, in their cars, crossing the streets. Everybody's shouting at each other.
The level of anger in this country is off the charts, off the scale, and this is part of the result.
I think politics has a lot to do with that.
Yes, it's so divisive, Eamon.
Yeah, and Rachel Reeves misled the public over tax on hospitality. Now, you see, I believe the headline straight away because of that. And I just think they're incapable of telling the truth about anything. Daily Express, Labour's taxes are shameful assault on high streets.
I know. It's just ridiculous. It really is. And for Rachel Reeves to have started...
She's been criticised by a watchdog for misleading the public over her tax rate on pubs. We discuss pubs a lot. Claire and I like to frequent one on the occasion as well.
Especially on the river.
It's certainly down by the river. But, they have pulled the wool over us yet again, going into power with such a huge majority, saying that they were going to be, the new government would be transparent about everything. They have not been. The UK Statistics Authority, UKSA, sounds like a fun organisation, said the Chancellor should have been clearer about the true effect of her tax plans when she claimed they would cut business rates to a 35-year low. If you go into the details, they've actually not done that. There was like one minuscule adjustment to a price, but actually overall the price have gone up, and we all know, we were discussing it off camera, how expensive it is. And it's not the reflection on the pub, but the costs of everything have gotten up so much. Nobody's going to the pubs or restaurants because they can't afford to, and here they are, kicking them in the shins.
The pubs themselves can't afford to employ anyone because of the rise in national insurance contributions for employers, and also the rise in minimum wage. I'd much rather give someone a tenner for a tip than have it added on to the bill at the end. I know then they get it, but then it takes the fun out of it almost.
Talking of food and prices, we mentioned Posh Nosh when we were introducing your segment. What's going on here, briefly?
Well, apparently the Brits were doing really well about the fact that we're getting more Michelin crowns this year than ever before. There's a big award in Dublin recently where they're saying that the Brits are actually going up the scales above Germany and France and getting more of them. But again, who was going to these places? I can't afford to go to a normal establishment where you can get a burger and chips for $9.99. Never mind going to a Michelin star restaurant. Ironically, they said there would have been more Michelin star restaurants this year, but something like 6 or 7 of them closed last year that had that award. So even with that award in this country, they couldn't make their business work.
Thank you. You'll be working again in 45 minutes, you two. Thank you for that. And we'll be back after the weather update. Here it is.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office. Changes to the weather are on their way, but for today at least, more wet weather is expected widely across the UK, with a colder feel across Scotland and much of the rain over hills turning to snow before the day is out. But it's a wet picture for virtually the whole of the UK, aside from the far north and northwest of Scotland and the south of England, and where there will be some drier and brighter weather at times, albeit still with some showers here and there. As you can see, a lot of rain elsewhere. Persistent spells of wet weather continuing across eastern Scotland could cause some issues given the saturated nature of things. But by the end of the day, actually, as the cold air begins to arrive above 300-400 metres, we're talking about snow over the Grampians, and that will come down even lower on Wednesday night into the start of Thursday. So cold end to the day for Scotland, feeling cold in the wind as well for northern England into Northern Ireland, but further south we're in the milder air and actually some cloud breaks as we go into Wednesday evening for South Wales into parts of the central and southern part of England, but some rain will skirt the far south and southeast, clearing away into the near continent. Meanwhile, Thursday and the early hours brings a lot more rain once again to Northern Ireland, parts of northern England, especially the northeast, as well as eastern Scotland. Showery rain elsewhere, a lot of cloud cover, so generally a mild start in the south on Thursday, but a colder feel for Scotland, for northern and eastern England, with a biting easterly wind starting to arrive. And that means there'll be some sleet and snow showers for the north and east of Scotland, increasingly so through Thursday. Rain rather than snow through Northern Ireland into much of northern England, parts of Wales and the Midlands. In the southwest, it's brighter for a time, further showers to Cornwall by the end of the afternoon. And then during Friday and the weekend, it turns colder, but also a little drier.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you for making us Britain's #1 news channel. Together, we have built something truly extraordinary.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Use caution on the A9 Dornoch Bridge, where high winds are making driving conditions tricky. In Leeds, the M62 westbound between junction 29 and junction 28 has a broken down vehicle, with 2 of 4 lanes closed and queues building. In Kent, the A20 eastbound between the A260 and the A256 at Dover West has shed load in the carriageway, leaving 1 of 2 lanes closed and delays in both directions. And on the trains, cross-country services are disrupted at Stansted Airport, while Great Western Railway reports disruption on multiple routes. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
We want you to boost your bank account with an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. There's also a terrific £10,000 to spend on a Riviera travel holiday of a lifetime for 2. So whether you fancy a cruise or an escorted tour, you'll have over 30 worldwide destinations to choose from.
For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB19 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 27th of February. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, very good morning to you. Counter-terror police are leading the investigation into a school stabbing, this one in London.
Yeah, two boys aged 12 and 13 are currently in a serious condition.
Due to the surrounding circumstances, the investigation is now being led by officers from Counter-Terrorism Policing London.
And last night, a 13-year-old boy was arrested on suspicion of attempted murder.
Parents say the suspect had been suspended and was allegedly armed with a sharp weapon in what's been described as an American-style attack.
Meanwhile, breaking this morning, 7 people are dead and 25 others injured following a school shooting in Canada. Police say 2 additional bodies were discovered at a separate location, believed to be linked to the attack.
A man's now being questioned over Nancy Guthrie's disappearance, though it's not yet clear whether he is the same person seen in images released by the FBI.
And today, the Prince of Wales will end his 3-day visit to Saudi Arabia as he tries to strengthen ties with one of the UK's closest Middle East allies.
Fare dodging, we're talking about that this morning. Do you do it? Do you know someone who does do it? The biggest fare dodgers will be sentenced today at Westminster Magistrates Court for 112 unpaid journeys. So today we're asking, should fare dodgers face jail?
And we'll be joined by former Coronation Street star Charlie Lawson. He says ITV ruined the show with a very weak storyline for seeing his character Jim McDonald leave the show.
And
Gone with the draft, he's in the army now, a blowing reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B.
You're also going to be treated to a live performance by 3 young ladies called the Dutchy Darlings. So stay tuned for that. That'll get your foot tapping. Now, you may think you have to be a certain age to remember wartime songs, but apparently this is the latest thing for teenagers on TikTok.
And in sport this morning, Spurs find themselves in a proper relegation fight as they lose at home to Newcastle. Late goal at West Ham means that Michael Carrick stays unbeaten now as Manchester United boss, and it's a Winter Olympic 4th again for Team GB as the colours lose to Italy.
Widespread and persistent wet weather once again this morning, but there are signs of something slightly different later this week and into the weekend. More details coming up in the forecast very soon.
On this Wednesday morning, a very good morning, however you're watching, however you're listening. I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Dawn Neeson, and this is GB News Breakfast.
So we're talking about the Winter Olympics, and Paul will be concentrating on those later on. But the thing is, you've been there,
yes,
right? So that's amazing. That's great. Are you watching any of this, Dawn?
Yes, I'm actually really enjoying it. I love the Winter Olympics. I was very jealous when Paul went out there, and I'm watching the big air, the sort of like thing yesterday, snowboarding ski thing. That was really good.
Yeah.
No idea what I'm talking about quite clearly here. And I watched a bit of curling as well.
Yeah. I'm fed up with losing. I am. I'm fed up with losing. I've had enough. Spurs last night.
It's the story of your life.
Well, it really is. I've had enough. I just want to win something. I'm watching the Olympics. We're 4th. Spurs are losing. So it's down to the ice skating tonight. And if I tell you what, and if they don't win a medal, that's it. I'm done with sport.
Yeah.
I'm going to become the showbiz correspondent. That's it. I'm finished. Sorry. I've got a calm
no,
down.
that's okay. Well, for one of the last times, he will be the sports correspondent in at 20 past 7, 50 minutes' time. Britain is facing what many people are calling a knife crime epidemic after 2 boys were stabbed at their school.
Yes, an ordinary school in North London. A 13-year-old has been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder, and police have recovered a weapon.
Now, the investigation is being led by counter-terrorism officers.
We're keeping an open mind as to any motivation behind this attack. However, due to the surrounding circumstances, the investigation is now being led by officers from Counter-Terrorism Policing London, who are working closely with our local officers in response to this incident. The investigation has not currently been declared a terrorist incident, and the investigation team will now be working at pace to gather any evidence and to establish the full circumstances of what has happened as quickly as possible.
It's just another horror story, but one that sadly we're all getting way too used to hearing. So we're joined now by someone who really does know the pain of all of this way too well, Julie Taylor, who lost her grandson to knife crime. Julie, you and I have spoken before about this issue. Nothing has changed. Nothing changes. No. Two more boys fighting for their lives in hospital.
I know, it's every single day, and it's becoming the norm, and it should not be the norm. You know, there was actually, I know, 3 stabbings yesterday, not just these poor 2 lads, you know. You know, my thoughts and prayers and strength goes out to everyone, because it just devastates everybody. It's a whole ripple effect of absolutely everybody involved. It's devastation.
Julie, I mean, since we spoke last time, I mean, we talk about knife arches, we talk about scanning children, we talk about searching children. I mean, is any of this actually going to make any difference?
We have to have all these deterrents in place. Absolutely everything is needed, and more of it. If we take that away, now it's a national crisis, you know, so agencies are really working as hard as they possibly can. In Essex, we've got a lower rate of what we had. We have a brilliant police force, and they're doing the very best, as every police force in the country. Nobody wants this to happen, but every deterrent that we can have, and I believe it starts with education. All of us campaigners that have lost people, that belong to an awful club, that nobody wants to belong to our club, you know, we're the Bereaved Families Club. You do not ever want to belong to that. So as much as we work as hard as we possibly can, because we've got those devastating real life stories, we're not reading from a textbook, we are telling it how it is, you know. So when sorry.
No. Just simply was interested, Julie, in finding out about your grandson. He was 19 then. He would be, what, 25 or so now, if he had have lived. I just wanted to know about the lad, and you know, how did the attack come about, and what was it all about at the end of the day?
So 6 years ago, we lost Liam. He, as the court say, was in the wrong place at the wrong time. A couple of his friends had been involved in an incident a few hours before. Liam had nothing to do with it whatsoever. So he was brutally murdered in the most horrific 13-second attack. We have 3 individuals in prison. 4 individuals got out of that car that night. They stabbed Liam 6 times, and in 13 seconds, he had 28 separate injuries. So it's just horrendous. You know, these kids are so angry, and I listened to Lady earlier on, you know, we've got to educate, we've got to calm people down, we've got to prevent them from carrying knives, we've got to do everything possible to stop this reoccurring every day, because it is every day that someone's getting stabbed.
Yeah, I mean, Julie, you and your family and the many, many families you help and support are the voices behind the statistics we see, and the politicians going, you know, as you said yourself, but you mean it, thoughts and prayers with the victims, we're doing all we can. But meanwhile, we keep coming back to the fact, Julie, that it is still happening. Children are still dying. And one of the parents at this school, when he was interviewed about the incident, he goes, well, I'm not surprised. All the kids carry knives.
Yeah.
They don't, though, do they? 99% of children don't, or people don't carry knives, but it's those few that do. You know, so when Liam was killed, what do? Well, I can quite honestly say on television, with her blessing, my daughter turned to alcohol for 4.5 years. She could not cope with the fact her son was dead. Yeah. We used to have to say, he's on holiday drinking pink gin. It was the only way she could cope. 4.5 years later, she now accepts, so she's starting to grieve, which is absolutely horrendous, you know. So you try and hold your family together, you try and support everybody else, and we do support each other in our groups that we're in, you know. So for me, I go into schools, colleges, unis, absolutely everywhere, and tell the devastating effects of Liam's, you know, the ripple effect of knife crime. 2 years and 1 day after Liam was killed, 5 minutes from my house the other way, and I'm in a little town in Essex, a young girl was killed as well, same age, 19 years. So we talk about her story as well, about domestic violence and things. I then teamed up and collaborated with Knife Crime Victim Support. We go into prisons and things like that, and we do a workshop. So I tell the devastating story. Quentin will come in and do his bit. We've had weapons handed in. So it is really from the heart, from the people that have been through this, in the greatest respect. We are the best educators to have out there. You know, it really does come from us.
But Julie, I'm sure to go to that prison, you were probably scanned. You were probably, you know, a scanner run over you to detect weapons and things. And so many people are outraged the fact that, say, this could be considered for a school. We're talking about a school killing today. What's your view about scanners or knife arches?
I think any deterrent, anything at all. You know, it doesn't matter. I want more stop and searches. People complain about this. It's only the people that are complaining are the ones that are probably carrying the knives. So, no, just carry on, do as much as we possibly can. But again, educate your children at home. Check your children's bags, your children's friends, your children's bedrooms, and just carry that education progress on, you know?
Yeah. Do you know, it's fascinating listening to Judy there, because Judy, just this thing, that would have been my mum. My dad, they would have, you know, the idea that I could have had a bag and, you know, it was off limits for anybody to look at, you know, you can forget that.
Just wouldn't have happened.
That just wouldn't have happened.
Down to the parents.
Julie, you are an amazing woman, and it's lovely talking to you in the worst possible way. And we wish we weren't talking to you, but we are, and you're so eloquent. You speak so well. So thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Julie. Love to all the family. Thank you.
And we remember Liam. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for all the work you do, Julie. It's just another day, another, you know, and I'm fed up with politicians, Eamon, saying, oh, we are doing everything we can, statistics are down. And it's like, there are real people, real families suffering. And, you know, it's not thoughts and prayers. It's about actually doing something, not just glib sound bites. And talking of glib sound bites, so we're talking about politics, because officials are reviewing 25 years of records dating back to Tony Blair's government over Lord Mandelson's links to Jeffrey Epstein.
Now, the fallout from these Epstein files continue to shake up Westminster. Resignations mounting, the Prime Minister facing pressure from his own allies. Joining us now in the studio, former Conservative advisor Oscar Redrop here. Oscar, what would you like to say overall, generally?
The situation is a real mess. I think there was yesterday, so the day before yesterday, it felt like Keir Starmer potentially only had hours to go due to this Mandelson scandal. And fortunately for him, the organised coup, if you like, that was set about by the Scottish leader, whose name escapes me.
Anna Sala.
Thank you, Dawn. He went over the top without any